So the first thing that came into my head is to exactly rip off your intro. Hello, buddy! Everybody! New Walker 101! Dr. New Walker! Bring your... What else is in your intro? Road to Victory here. Today we're joined by...
No. You got it wrong. It's bye.
There it is.
Sorry. And we're joined by...
And then we just figure out who goes first.
Yes.
It's always made me bored. Like every time I hear bye, I always expect to hear Zane Reward.
It just has to be me.
I'm joined by bye.
Oh, I crash landed.
I didn't even cut out.
A second dragon as its tower.
And
That one cut out too.
yeah, thanks. I love working over the internet. That's where you do like a counter intro or an anti intro. You just say, "You're right." So that's what I usually do.
The orca intro.
Right, how's it going?
Hey.
Oh, hi.
Oh.
Sorry, my voice is cracking up because we were just doing silly. I was doing extremely silly voices before this, so. Stupid.
I believe you mean we.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. Anyway, 2 minutes in and we haven't even started the video. So,
Yes.
This is a podcasty thing where we talk about all types of media. Usually it's dinosaur stuff, but of course, you may have noticed that there's been not dinosaur thing, but a dragon-related thing that we also do like, and why it's on my channel. How do I do intros? How do I talk? I don't know. We're talking about the live-action How to Train Your Dragon. This is going to be like a prelude, general discussion, a little bit more detailed than my initial thoughts, and after me simmering on the thoughts for a while. But before I do my in-depth analysis or like proper look at once it's out digitally and I can put the video together. But yeah, these two chums have also watched the movie. I'm sure they can add some thoughts, whether or not it'll be professional or they'll bring in some like bad opinions, as you know.
Yeah, because you're one who does that.
And we're all here for a gay old time. I do want to. I should probably also preference this though, sort of off the bat. Like, I think reviewing this movie, we are inherently going to be nitpicky because this movie is like a one-to-one remake. The core of the movie is exactly the same as the original and is just sort of great, of course, because it's the same story. So
You can't really delve into the substance and story of a movie because it's been out for 15 years.
Yeah. So, though I'm not a big fan of like overly nitpicky sort of types of reviews, I feel like to draw the key difference between this version and the original version is you're going to have to dive into those like minuscule things which make it, for me, like probably like a slight degree less than the original, but only like by minute scale, and in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's fun. If you enjoy the movie, that's great. There's stuff about this movie that I've enjoyed, which we'll get into. How do we? Shall we start with general thoughts and vibes? I'm gonna shut up.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first because I'm the film person. You're stuck in my medium now.
Oh, here comes the very flawed analysis.
Shut the fuck up.
A film person? Ugh.
Before you begin, I gotta say something.
Yeah. Oh. Hello there.
You two look the same.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! I will toss you into my dog's mouth.
God, you have to say the line now.
I am Steve.
There it is. Okay, you can begin now, Steve.
Hang on, stand up real for a second.
I'm
What
sorry.
we're
I'm,
doing
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but my pants are black.
Close enough. It's close enough.
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
I'll fully admit, I've seen the movie twice. I saw it a few days ago, but for preparation for this video, I watched it again, like 4 hours ago, in like a big screen cinema.
Mhm.
And just like everybody else here, I'm not a big fan of live action remakes, because like I adore animation as a medium. I think it's brilliant, and How to Train Your Dragon is my second favorite movie ever made. I adore it. I love it. It means so much to me. And after seeing the live action remake twice, on my first round, it was very flawed, and I had a lot of problems with it. But I'm not gonna lie, my second rewatch was a lot better. Like, it worked a lot more on my second viewing.
Isn't that just how? And every time you watch something, it's always the second viewing where it opens up your eyes.
But here's the thing: the first time I watched it, like every single time there was a change. Mentally, I went, okay, they changed that. What do I think about that? Do I like that? Do I not like that? But on my second way around, I already knew the changes. So by that point, I already accepted them. So at that point, I was more watching it as a film rather than
Yeah.
rather than just seeing the changes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because I have to admit, I was struggling with that when I first saw the movie. Because like, my brain was just inherently going, that's different. That's changed. That's different. And although
Maybe
I
it's
haven't
good-
seen it again, so I haven't had that chance of just absorbing it in its entirety, I think my brain default or recognizing the changes, but I don't think that sort of influenced my opinion. I don't think.
So after 2 viewings, even though I don't like the trend, I don't like it at all. I like the movie. I don't mind it. Of course, I prefer the original. I adore the original, and I probably always will. But like for me, the original How to Train Your Dragon is a 10 because it's so good. It has so much depth to it, and it's just a phenomenal film. But live action remake is essentially just a slightly extended version of that film. So I can't really give all that praise to this movie because it was already done 15 years ago. So like, if this is a good, competent live action remake, it's like I would give this like a 6 or a 7. It's good, it's enjoyable, but I'll always prefer the original.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good thing.
Sorry. I was just gonna add on. Like the I always think of this movie as like How to Train Your Dragon Deluxe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a good thing you're watching Rebirth twice.
Why?
Because you need to watch movies twice to fully understand it. I'm sensing a pattern here. Anyways, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, so coming into this, I had already basically solidified my thoughts on remakes, live-action remakes, because Disney had the monopoly on them, and each one was just worse than the last one, every single time. And I'm like, man, I'm sick of these. This is awful. Every change they make is unbearable. And then this one comes along. Okay, first of all, it has the original director, so that's good. It's a good thing. And then I see the trailers, I see the designs. So of course, my first thought is like, oh, the designs have changed. It's like depending on which dragon I think about, my thoughts tend to flutter. But as the movie itself, I didn't really have that much of an opinion. I wasn't seething with anger like what Disney does with their remakes, but I wasn't feeling like super excited for it either. I was just kind of like, oh, it's gonna be a thing. Then I watched it, and it's like, wow, pretty good, because it's the exact same movie, except they replaced the animation with live action. So that's why I liked it. That's pretty much my general thoughts. It's just like, it's the same movie, but it's like going to a live performance, I guess.
Yeah, sorry, like, you can see my, like, I guess, initial thoughts in the my initial sort of review.
Cards up there. The card's up there, right? Probably is.
It'll be.
I don't know.
It's gonna be the other side of your screen.
Okay.
Although that was very rambly, I probably would repeat a few of those points that I made in that video in this. But I also remembered some stuff that I didn't manage to sort of squeeze in, and this could be a lot more spoilery. But yeah, I think I should also be clear that I do, in general, artistically don't agree with live action remakes. Though I am taking this movie as its own thing. It's still a fun movie, I guess, because the core is the same. So, though, to be fair, though, it's hard to really criticize it too much, because personally there are a lot of changes that I do really like in it.
Same. But sorry to interrupt. But to negate that, there is a fair few things that they tried to adapt from the animated movie that I don't think they did well. But we'll touch on that later.
Yeah. Well, where did we want to start? Do we want to start with the negatives or the positives?
I kind of prefer plowing through the negatives first, and then end on a positive note. That's how I like to do things.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the negatives, personally, for me. I don't know if you agree with me on the performances, but I feel like the performances or line deliveries were a bit weird or off. I don't know if that was a change that you disagree on a second viewing.
I agreed with you on the first viewing, because at that point, due to me being me, I have the original movie burned into my brain. I have every shot, every delivery, every line singed into my core. So if there's any change from a line to a scene to a line delivery, or even to an angle of a shot, I can tell this changed. And I would agree with you on my first viewing. But after my second one, I would say the vast majority of the performances and line deliveries are done rather well.
Okay.
They're different from the original, but that's because they're different actors in a different medium. They're going to be different because they're different people. But I will say something I've noticed is about certain line deliveries. I noticed this a fair few times throughout the movie, but there are certain line deliveries where you just can't tell what the actor is saying. Especially, I noticed this on my first and second viewing, where sometimes a actor is saying something and they're speaking so fast that all their lines spew together, and you can't tell what they're saying. I really think that's a situation where it does show Dean's inexperience in live action as a medium, because this is his first live action theatrical movie, and as that, I think he does a great job. This is very impressive. as a live action debut, but it does start to show in a few places where like maybe he should have gone a different take.
So like when I heard all the lines, I think we're gonna be drawing a lot of like comparisons with Disney because I think that's my thing here. Because that's when I think live action, I think of those horrible Disney movies. And now that this is here, so what the Disney movies do is that they'll adapt the scene. They'll make so many changes to it that sometimes the dialogue is completely different, and it's just not. I mean, I can't really think of any examples because it's been a hot minute since I actually looked at a Disney remake. I think the last one was Mufasa, and that's one technically its own thing. It's not based on anything, but like this is like kind of like they just change up dialogue and stuff. Like I think Lion King 1's the best example, where so many lines have been removed and altered because of how they rewrote so many of the characters, especially the hyenas. I'll never forgive them for what they did to them. and this movie, I think that was what really sold my enjoyment, is that so many of the lines of dialogue are basically delivered differently, but it's the same. It's the exact same script. And it's just like, that was just like, oh, he said the thing. He didn't say it right, but he said the thing. And I will definitely say that while, like, of course, it's going to be, like, depending on which line you're looking at, the lines I do like the most is, like, with Hiccup when he's riding Toothless, and he is super enthusiastic when he's cheering. It's, like, gone from, yeah, to,
I love his scream when Toothless falls into the water. Like, when he puts Toothless's tail on for the first time. And his scream as he jumps out of the water is phenomenal. I love that scream.
yeah, that's the stuff I really like. That's probably one of the few things where I'll say, oh, that was way better than the original.
I think you counted that perfectly. I as I say, I can't really like ascertain
We've
the
completely shut you down.
Yeah, I mean, it was fair though, because as I say, like, I've only seen it once, and I haven't had that second viewing pleasure.
Well, neither have I, but
Yeah, but I'm like Indominus. I need to see a movie multiple times to fully absorb it, especially with this one where my brain is like defaulting to it's different. Why?
guys, what's going on? I'm the one who's supposed to have the goldfish brain.
Okay, so I do actually have two negatives about the performances.
Yeah.
One of on my first viewing, I liked all the actors. They all clicked with me, except Gobber. Like, I really struggled with Nick Frost with Gobber.
Yeah.
On my second viewing, he did work a lot better, but like, there's still the part of me that's like, I don't know if he was the right guy.
It's
And like,
I think for me with Nick Frost, like, I also had that feeling. Like, I usually like Nick Frost, and I do like him in comedic roles, but he was very sarcastic in this, but not in the jolly kind in the original. But I had the feeling of, I'm not clicking with this, but I know it's because it's different. I think I would click with it more once I watch it again. But then again, as I say, he's bringing a very British sort of humor to it, which in this context could feel a little odd because he's the only one, if that makes sense. He's an isolated case of trying to bring in a sort of British-like humor, which may not re-gel well to the rest of the movie.
And this does link to, I'll be honest, like one of my biggest problems with the movie is that the comedy just does not work. Like, I don't I saw this in a packed theater with my dad. Now, my dad is like me. If anything, he's worse than me. He laughs at everything. It's extremely easy to make him laugh. And I remember seeing the original with him. I still have that in my mind. And I remember him laughing hysterically throughout the entire film. Like, the key point was, like, the scene where, well, not the scene, but the moment where the terrible terror attacks Tough Nut, and he says, "Oh, it's like the size of my like like in the original, I still have my dad's laughter pierced into my brain. I can still I can still remember how much he laughed at that. But like when we watched the live action remake, because I also saw it with him, he didn't laugh at that. He barely laughed at all. Like he laughed twice, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He laughed when Stoic said, "I can finally show my face in public again." And when Gobber jokes about, and when Gobber says, "Oh, he saved most of them," when he sees that, "Oh, he's lost a leg." A aspect is, a lot of those jokes were written with animation in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, for example, a lot of the physical comedy, like Tough Nut being bitten by the terrible terror, that was a joke that was written with animation in mind. If that was a joke that was written for a medium made within 3D software, where everything exists in the same space. That joke wasn't a slapstick joke like that. It wasn't written for live action, and like you can kind of tell because you have to go that extra mile in order to get that timing, in order to get that reaction, in order to make that interaction believable.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more steps to make the jokes here work in general, and I do think a lot of jokes don't work here because of the delivery. Partly because I do think some of the actors aren't delivering the comedic lines that well, but that does come down to both the lines in general and direction. Because, like, once again, this is Dean's first live action film, and that is probably yet another part of inexperience that he has there. Because he doesn't have a lot of experience making live action comedy. Well, but when it comes to adapting, I really think they should have changed some of the jokes too, in order to really make it flourish in the medium.
Yeah, yeah. I have to admit,
But
though,
how?
sorry, with
Go
the slapstick, there was one moment with the new tail scene. Is it
Go
new
on.
tail or see tomorrow? It might be see tomorrow. You know the montage when Hiccup is trying to fly with Toothless. I think the one, like, I guess a slapsticky moment that does work, but it's original. It's an original joke. Instead of cat or dragon nip, they use the like that flower thing, and I thought it was quite funny how the Gromcore reacted. It just started sneezing and was like rolling over and everything. I thought that was
the
kind of cute.
dandelion fuzz.
Yes, but that is a CGI dragon that is animated.
Yeah, I guess
That is
to
still
be fair,
within the medium of animation.
yeah, but I know. But I guess like the jokes, I guess the jokes that don't really work well are the ones that have to interact with the live action because the pacing is weird.
I do think a lot of the issues with the comedy does stem from the weird pacing issues and deliveries, and that mainly comes down to Dean's inexperience and these jokes being written for the medium of animation.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. With Dean coming back for the project is kind of like both an issue but also a great thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's an issue because it is his first live action project, so he will not be as experienced as any other director. Creating these flaws, but at the same time, him returning, you could tell the amount of passion and care that he puts into the series is back, and is in here. Like the lore and the details are intact, if not him improving upon it. Apart from one thing that I still have a slight gripe against, but that's like so inconsequential. Like it's not. It's hard for it to be valid. But yeah.
It really is a double-edged sword with Dean, because as you said, due to him being here, it has the passion, it has the energy, it has the care, but however, it does have the inexperience.
Start talking about the terrible terror, and that just reminded me of one of my, probably the only thing that I'm like really dislike, because like for the most part, the movie is like I can think of mostly positives, and any negatives is nitpicky. There's only one thing that is like flat out a bad decision, because like it's the removal of the terrible terror scene after test drive, because it's like that's bad for two things. For one, that affects me mostly. The terrible terror in this movie, the design is like probably one of my favorite out of the dragons, because I just like it. It's very chameleon-like. It's cute. It's fun. I like it, and it's barely in the movie. It's like it gets one scene to itself, and then it's just a background cameo. It's like you have to squint to see where it is. That's frustrating, because I was really looking forward to seeing that scene with those terrible terrors, and it's like it's not there. But then of course the bigger reason why that's bad is because it removes a very pivotal scene that comes back in the climax.
The scene itself is called Not So Fireproof. Yeah, and that scene does two things in the original movie, mainly. It obviously, as you said, sets up that like fire dragons are not fireproof on the inside. Which, yeah, removing that kind of makes it a little bit like doesn't get set up, which is kind of just, I feel like that's just kind of objectively worse, but like
I kind of feel like the final battle itself is also kind of like lacking because of that, because without that scene, now they have to come up with like, oh, Toothless just starts breaking its wings, just starts shooting the wings, and then they're already broken.
Mind you, I have to admit, even in the original, I do find it a bit weird that they targeted the wings and taught, like, how did Hiccup come up with that idea? That was kind of a little bit out of nowhere, but at least the other bit was also
because it's that moment.
Oh, actually, no, it was. Sorry,
yeah,
it was set up.
That's
the wings and the tails you want.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had that like premonition. Yeah. Fair enough. No, then scratch that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. The other thing that this scene does is sets up Hiccup's realization that not all dragons are evil, which is still in this movie, but it's moved. Which I don't know how you guys feel about that. It's moved after. I think was it after the Forbidden Friendship scene, or was it just before that? It was in the Book of Dragons.
Yeah.
Scene, and he asks Astrid just before he reads the book about his opinions. I do kind of like the change in a way, because it's like there's a little bit more interaction with his like actual deeper thoughts, instead of just like a line saying everything we knew about these guys was wrong. There's actually a little bit more with it, and also it can bounce off of another character, which then can introduce their motivations. But but I find the placement a little bit weird, because I kind of prefer the
gradual.
Yeah, because the movie, you focus on just the one dragon, and you're realizing, oh, hang on, this dragon, or maybe this specific individual or this species isn't so bad, and then you're sort of with Hiccup slowly learning that all these are really good animals, you know, and it all climaxes in the test drive scene where there's that big release of tension and they've become one at that point in the movie. And then that's when the not so fireproof scene comes after with that, because then you realize at this point
it's not just the one individual.
Yeah, you're out of the high, you're with them on like, yes, these two are now best buddies, and then you realize, and then it introduces that dragon's not bad either. Yeah.
I totally agree. I'll be honest, I couldn't have said it better myself, because I would have stuttered.
If we're ready to move on, I can think of another thing that was this is a nitpicky thing, but like, I think, so like, when it comes to the dragon scenes, I really like pretty much all of them, except Toothless's scenes, honestly.
I have a similar critique, but that's only because there was, for me, it was the Down Dragon scene and I think it's See You Tomorrow.
I think for me it's like Forbidden Friendship specifically. It kind of feels like the whole scene, like for most of the part, the movie is just like it's recreating, but that scene in particular felt very rushed. Like
Yes.
they're speeding
Yeah, I can
through.
see
It's a kind of like Forbidden Friendship speed run. Let's go.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think this movie, what the original was unique in, was sort of indulging in the moment, letting the music take over. This movie was scared to do, despite it being live action, and it could still do, which I'm disappointed in, because those moments are my favourite moments, the lack of dialogue.
Now he's just like, oh, you want me to eat this? Okay, I'm eating. Look, hey, I chewed it. Oh, you want me to swallow? Okay, gulp, gulp, gulp. Aha, funny. He has to spell it out for everyone.
I think, like, there's, like, elements of slight structure changes within those scenes that I find a slight issue with, which I can go into detail later, but I'll let you guys finish.
Yeah, like I'll frame it. For the original Forbidden Friendship, that is my favorite scene in cinema. Like
Same.
out of every movie ever made, that is my favorite. I adore it. I love it. It's just a perfect way of conveying and building a relationship purely through visuals and music, which I believe is when film as a medium is at its best. And in live action, I think it's done fine. It's done competently. I can say that I can say that about a lot of the stuff in this film. How I can say this about the film in general. It's competent. It's not amazing. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's competent. It's good. But 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 as you said, something really did feel off to me during Forbidden Friendship both times, because like it really does just feel rushed. And but I will say, I do think the actual moment of Hiccup reaching out to touch Toothless, I think that's done perfectly in the film. Like I can agree on the actual drawing and him moving around it, but I think the actual moment where he reaches out and touches Toothless, the pacing that they use, the shots that they use, the timing and the music, I think that is still done really well in the live action.
Yes.
Okay, I can concede with that one.
Yeah, that specific moment, great. But I think it is true. I may have to double check this in the facts though. Is that the music for Forbidden Friendship for this version is shorter than the original, which can shares you it's
Go on.
yeah, which shows you that it's I guess more rushed.
Yeah, I think I told you about this once, that it was like 10 to 20 seconds shorter, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot. But when it comes to a scene, when it comes to a film, 20 seconds is a lot, especially when you're trying to build a moment.
I think it's more in this film though, because every scene has like an additional like minute onto it. So it's not inherently just a 10-second loss. It's like a 10-second plus like another minute of new content loss.
Because like this movie is like what, 20 minutes longer than the original. After seeing this movie twice now, I still don't know where those 20 minutes come from. I can see like maybe 5, 6, 10 minutes, but I can't see 20. I don't have a clue where those come from.
I
credits.
really think they come in from the extra lines. Like in terms of actual like substance add-on, I think there was like a couple of extra scenes. like with the talk between Hiccup and Astrid before the Book of Dragons, and then also the dragon attack on the Viking ships.
Mm-hmm.
But then also the not so fireproof scene was completely cut.
Mm-hmm.
I was also sort of wrapping my head around, but then I think, there was so much extra dialogue, which the dialogue, I think, personally, was a little bit over expository.
We'll get to that.
In my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just artificially extended it, if that makes sense. Like, they did some changes, which I agree on, but it felt like, they had to reach a 2-hour time slot in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So they sort of just, what became subtext or was just visual storytelling just became, I feel like this now, and just to like add on like an extra minute or two in each scene.
I gotta be honest, I had no sense of time, so I couldn't catch if the movie was longer or not.
I do have to admit though, because I'm older, like I didn't feel the extra different though, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
This is just me thinking about it mathematically.
When you get to our age, a movie just flies by in 5 minutes. You don't even realize that it was an hour and 57 seconds.
I blinked and the movie was over.
For a movie is 10 minutes to me. Time is outside my control.
I blinked and it was 2030.
That was just specifically for Forbidden Friendship. There was extra stuff for me. There was one in Down Dragon scene. I do have to admit, like, I was a bit cautious about that scene because I wasn't too sure if it was going to reach the peak of the original. And I still don't think it's quite there, but I don't think it ended up as bad as I thought it was going to be.
So I think what this movie does, it's just like, in terms of, because again, I have to draw a comparison with Disney, where it really pluses where, even though it's not perfect remake of the original, like there's definitely some things that the original does better, but like, they're still doing the scene. It's still there. So that's like, even though we're nitpicking it, it's still a good scene, because it's like, they're not changing that much. Meanwhile, with Disney, they would just completely rewrite the scene. Like, let's say if Disney just, like, rewrote this movie, they would probably just make, I don't know, they change it so much to the point where Toothless is just like, he's just cute. He's just like, oh, please don't kill me. And they just, I don't know, they just change so much.
Just because they include the scene, that doesn't mean it's good. That doesn't mean that it's done well.
There's like this one thing that I don't like about this scene though.
Go on.
It's very, very minor, and again, in the grand scheme of things, it's very nitpicky, which is what the point of this is.
Go on.
You know, in the close-up shots after Hiccup frees Toothless, and it just and then you see it's close up. In this version, they just do the two eyes, and then he roars and fucks off. In the original, it does the two eyes, and then it goes to the one. That shot was a very sort of minimal shot, but I feel like that shot does so much, because it sort of starts off with the two eyes in shot. It's sort of a close up of, oh shit, there's a dragon in front of me, he's gonna eat me, sort of thing. And then that cropping onto the one, that's the moment where it's like Toothless is looking into your soul at that point. It's like, that's the moment where it's like, this dragon doesn't want to kill me. That's the souls intertwining. And sort of that realization that, oh, hang on, there's something different here. And they don't have it in this version. Again, the grand scheme of things, it's not that... But I was like, okay, that was like the one shot I think they should have kept in, because like, I mean, I love those shots, but it does add so much to that scene right at the end. But I think everything else before that was the same. They even kept the that eerie like eye popping open when it pans over the wing. Which
I
is, like,
love
kind of cute.
I love how like that one mistake made 15 years ago is so resonant with the movie that it was kept in a remake 15 years later.
There is one more scene kind of, again, structurally with Toothless was a bit off. See You Tomorrow, the montage.
Mm-hmm.
I dislike that Hiccup was flying on Toothless in that montage.
Same.
It just takes away the impact of test flight.
Exactly. Because it's
Because
like...
Go on. No,
So-
you first. Go on.
Yeah. Because it's just like... The whole point of that sort of montage is like Hiccup is building up to test flight. He's been very methodical. He's been very ginger about this whole dragon riding experience. Any steps he makes is with heavy caution. Anytime he does take flight, they're always tethered to the ground. And then with the test flight scene, that's when they go out for the first time, and it gets tension, and it's that big release of energy. You have all that build up of tension of he's been really methodical, he's been so careful, and then it's just the doors fling open, and then bam, you're there, you're with it. But then in this version, because he's already flying on the Toothless, like, albeit badly, and he's constantly crashing, but it sort of felt like the doors were already like half swinging open in a way that they were practically already flying.
I completely agree. Like, I think having been flying earlier on does make test flight less special. Because, like, as you said, it's not their first time out there flying. It's not the first time free from the ground. And therefore, as the audience, if we didn't already know the scene, instead of being like, oh my god, they're flying, instead it would be like, they're flying again, why is that significant?
Although, before we move on to anything else, I think I'm going to top this off with a positive though. The test flight scene in that, well, it's actually a bit of a mixed bag. It's more with the music.
Yeah.
There was a moment where I really did like it. You know, we noticed that in Dominus when we went over in the interactive, there was that sort of angelic moment in the piece.
When they're falling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I watched it in that film, I think I do really like that change.
Same.
Because, like, I felt my heart just sink in that moment. And that moment was extended. That was longer. Like, that you have that sort of angelic music, the sort of instrumentals leave, so it feels like your heart is sort of leaving your body in a way. That's what it felt like, and also that's what it felt like musically. It's just sort of that one note. They're both separated in the sky, and then when they physically touch but still falling and spiraling down, that's when the instrumentals and the tension still comes. That's where the instruments come back in, and it just like I don't know. I just love that moment because it just like I don't know. It felt like I was in free fall for a second, and it was horrific. But I do have to admit, I did like though that music and shot changes.
I'll be honest, I completely agree with you, and I'll be honest, I'm really happy that you liked that, because I was worried that I was gonna have to defend myself upon liking it.
The mixed bag, the bit I dislike kind of was directly after that. Musically, it was after the tension bit of the music, but just before the main melody comes in, they shortened that. Which I just like. It's hard to explain it in this. I think this is the thing that I'll have to thoroughly explain in like the actual review, because this dives into this dives into a little bit more music theory. But I think they kind of shorten it, and it felt like the music desynced a little bit with like the footage on screen. Like in the original, it synced up perfectly.
Okay, here's the thing. I'll fully admit, I know next to nothing about actually making music or the structure of it. But what I do understand is editing and timing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, my biggest critique with this movie is the music, is the timing. because like a lot of music is synced with stuff that happens on the screen. Like particularly, I think Test Flight and Romantic Flight were butchered because like the music is just not synced with what's happening on the screen.
Yeah.
Because like of course in the original it's iconic. You have a moment where like the music like I don't really know how to describe it, but it's that moment where Toothless puts out his wings and like it's like the scene and the music like grinds as it stretches the moment.
Yes.
That
throws
moment
away
is
the-
just not synced in the live action.
Yes.
Instead, that moment happens when they become one, which is what that music is building up to.
Yeah, because the melody in Test Flight is Hiccup's melody and also Toothless's melody, and in the beginning of the score, it flips between the two throughout the piece. I think it starts off. I can't quite remember which melody it goes, but in the end, that dun, 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 and I think a bit before that, that's when both melodies are combining into one. Both Hiccup and Toothless's melody become one in that moment. That's when, yeah. The test flight scene only works with the music. The music is the thing that sort of is the thing that's telling the story in that moment. Yeah, so it's sort of not being correct is kind of a bit of quite a big negative.
And like, I think the same thing goes for Romantic Flight as well, because of course you have a moment in the original where music goes, bum ba 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 ba, as it reveals the night sky, I believe.
Yeah.
In the live action, that happens like 5 seconds too early, and like the music climaxes when all you can see is clouds.
Yeah.
Like when the music happens, the audience isn't going like, "Oh wow, look at the Aurora Borealis."
Aurora Borealis! At this time of year, at this time of place, entirely localized.
I'm trying to make a point! Instead, they're going, "Wow, what wonderful clouds! I like the white screen."
I can't see shit. Okay. If we're still on the topic of music, there was one change that I do like.
There are two changes that There is one change that I really like, and one change that I noticed, and I don't know if I'm all that fond of. Go.
Okay. For me, when the Green Death was coming out the mountain,
Yes.
they used this. I noticed it was the same melody in the second movie where where Toothless gets mind controlled, and it's
Yeah.
I just love that piece so much.
Bagpipes.
Yeah, I fucking love that, like, that melody and piece so much. It's like, it's so full of tension. And it happened with the Green Death coming out, and I was like, ooh, I kinda like
I know,
that.
it's so good. I love that they included that.
And because I think the shot of the Green Death coming out the mountain is longer, probably. That's more of an educated guess.
Why are you calling it the Green Death?
It's because I have the title of the piece of music in my mind, and that's called Battle in the Green Death.
Yeah.
I know it's the Red Death.
I just find it really funny. It's like if they went out of their way to make the Red Death red, and you're calling it the Green Death.
I just had the title of music battling the Green Death in my mind, so that's why I was calling it the Green Death. It's called the Red Death. But I imagine they had to extend that sort of moment, and they used a piece from the other movie, which was like cool. I like it.
So good.
But yeah,
as I've said, like I loved that they include the war bagpipes with the Red Death, because like it does bring a cohesion to the to throughout the entire franchise. Like due to them including the music, it directly goes like, yeah, these are both alphas. These are both the same abilities. These are both the same abilities. These are both the same methods of destruction. Because that's even included when the Red Death like mind controls Stormfly. Like that is something that wasn't around when the first movie was made, but it was something that was created for movie 2, which they went on to implement into the live action remake to bring cohesion to the alphas.
I'm hoping that they don't butcher it in the second live action film, that they don't remove that they include that, because then that would make your point of cohesion make sense. If they completely forgo it, it would be good.
And the other change that I've noticed is just like a change to music in general. It's when Stoic is talking to Hiccup when he's on Toothless, and he's going like, "Oh, you, no matter what happens out there, I'm proud of you." In the original, it's a variation of Test Flight, I believe. But in the live-action remake, they put in a new piece of music. Specifically, it's a version of Homeward, I believe, the new song for the credits. Like, they are using the music that is for the credits and using it in that moment. Because like, I do believe the new song they use at the end includes lyrics like, "Ooh, you are my family, you are my Homeward," and by using that music in that moment, it brings that through metaphorically, I guess, but also. I don't know if I used it earlier in the movie, so I don't know if it works. So I don't know if it works within the text of the movie.
I think that'll be a note for another time, because I don't remember that change.
I miss Sticks and Stones.
I imagine they removed that because, well, I don't like this thought or assumption. I don't know. There's a word that I'm looking for, but I guess they see it because it's a pop music. They see it as a cartoonish thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was that, but also if it was a licensing reason, because I know they weren't able to use a lot of the titles of the original score because of licensing reasons. So like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they weren't able to use Sticks and Stones, because due to how many people will be caught up in that. Because you have John Powell's people, you have Jonesy's people, you have Universal, you have a record label. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they included Homeward because they just either couldn't or couldn't really be bothered to get Sticks and Stones.
But what does that mean for Where No One Goes?
That is a very good question.
That is a very good question. I imagine it probably won't be in the movie, in the second one. It might just be a sort of cinematic montage.
No.
But on the other side, they might go the extra mile for Where No One Goes because it's so iconic. Because it's actually in the movie.
Like they can't. They wouldn't.
I might be able to vent about what might be my other biggest problem with this movie. And it's that it's not as good as conveying information visually as the first one.
I think that is my main critique as well.
That is partly because animation as a medium, you can change it as much as you want. You can really manipulate the timing of a shot, because it's a digital camera. Due to it being in animation, you have absolute control.
Sorry,
But like,
sorry, I wanted to add on to that. There was like I just remembered that they removed the shot of Toothless looking at the bird flying away in the original.
yes, they did.
Ah.
Oh my god.
Ah. Ah.
But I don't think that was
Why?
inherently a bad change, because the directors themselves, when they were the directors themselves said that they weren't too sure that shot always reads as they intended it. The original intent for that shot is that Toothless was jealous, or like seeing his
Okay, I
lost
see.
ability, or seeing his disability, I guess.
Mhm.
But they can't. I think they removed it because it probably was a little bit too vague. Because I have to admit, I never picked that up as a kid.
Because you're stupid. I had to
Yes.
explain it to you. But like, the two moments that really stick out to me is when the camera goes over is during Down to Dragon. When
They
the
also.
camera...
Sorry.
When... Go on.
There was another shot in Forbidden Friendship they changed.
Go on.
Is when Hiccup threw away the knife, Toothless went into cute puppy
Yeah.
mode. But in this
Yeah.
version,
Yes, he just doesn't.
he just like he stays neutral, which is which I feel like it's sorry. Which
I
for
mean, like,
me
Man.
is another kind of neutral thing, because like I guess it's more of a build up for him to be actually cute. Again, that'll be another one that I deeply analysed, but that was just another shot that they just
I
cut.
disagree. I disagree because in that moment, that's really the first time the audience goes, ah, he's cute, ah, he's nice.
Yeah, it takes the edge off, but then it tries to build it back up with him grabbing the fish, and especially with that dun in the music. I did find that a little bit weird tonally. Like it was like, oh, he's cute, and then attention, and then he's cute again. I don't know what they were trying to do with that, so I guess they try to follow that through in this version until he's actually cute. But yeah.
I will say, I do think the film really needed that moment, because there are some times where I just go, Jesus Christ, Toothless is horrifying.
That is true. Sorry.
Because,
Anyway,
like,
you carry on. I keep on having like flashbacks to the new.
I sometimes I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because like because when Toothless tries to smile, in the original, it's cute. Like in the live action, when he tries to smile, it is horrifying.
Oh my god, yeah. I think I almost threw up when Hiccup in this version was trying to eat the fish because it was real, and I was like, ah!
So yeah, it's just like, once again, I like a lot of the dragon scenes, but the ones I don't vibe with the most are Toothless's scenes, because it's just not right. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Because it's like all these. For me, all of these dragons have been overhauled to be more real-ish. I say ish because but like Toothless is the only one where they kind of just sat in between of trying to make him a real animal, but also it's still the original, and it kind of hits this in between of like not quite there, not like 1 foot out the door and whatnot.
Apparently, according to Dean, they did try and make a more realistic design for Toothless.
I think I saw that post as well, but I forgot what he looked like.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What he looked like?
I'm trying to remember.
They didn't reveal a design.
Okay, that must have been fan art then.
Are you on about the? Hold on, the picture you're referring to was that one of a animatronic?
It was an Instagram post. I think someone just made an edit.
right? Because I was going to say, so somebody did make that post with like the Arena Spectacular Toothless, and so many
Oh.
morons are going, "Oh, look what he was meant to look like," because they're fucking tourists.
Oh,
But like,
they're looking at the live spectacular one. That's funny.
but like, but according to Dean, they did try to make him more realistic like all the others, but he felt like the further they developed that, the less it felt like Toothless to him. As I was saying earlier, is not as good as conveying things on camera. Because like, the moment
Visually,
in Down to Dragon where the camera goes over the ridge and you see Toothless down for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and both Hiccup and the camera jerk back to behind the ridge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the animated, you can see him for a few seconds before before both Hiccup and the camera get scared at the same time and hide behind the rock again.
Hill, yeah.
Yeah. But in the live action, the camera isn't synced with Hiccup. You can see Toothless for for a solid few seconds before Hiccup even looks over the ridge. So that moment doesn't really work because the audience can already see Toothless. They aren't surprised because they've already been looking at him for a few seconds.
Yeah, in the original, it's like you get such a glance. It's like it's such a fight or flight sort of response. Like you just see enough to be like shock.
Because another example of this is during the what's the moment called? It's
Describe it. I could probably point it out.
It's when Hiccup is excelling in the Dragon Academy and they're dueling with Gronkle
See you tomorrow.
Yeah. See you tomorrow.
That oh yeah, of course. Yeah, that's part of See You Tomorrow. But like, it's the moment where like Astrid is charging towards the Gronkle and the camera reveals that Hiccup has already taken down the dragon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, in the original, you have Astrid charge, and then the camera pauses. I mean,
And then you
it's
cut.
more like the scene pauses to show that Hiccup has taken down Gronkle, and then Astrid has her big reaction. But like in the live action, you have Astrid charge, and then for a few seconds, you see that he has taken down the Gronkle, and then Astrid has a big lash out. You really need those few moments of a pause, so the audience can have time to take in that Hiccup has taken down the Gronkle. Because like I don't really think the moment works as well if you don't have that pause, if you don't have that time to show that hey, Hiccup took down the Gronkle, and which makes Astrid mad. Because in live action, it's just Astrid is mad, and then Astrid is and then because
Astrid is hyped, and then Astrid is mad.
yeah, and yet another example of this is actually with the dragons. It's in the medium of animation.
Mm-hmm.
It's when it's when Hiccup is going on about Toothless not having any teeth. In the original
Okay,
teeth.
I'm gonna speed it up a bit. It's like Toothless in the original. It's like empty, and suddenly,
yeah,
teeth come out. In this one, it's like a gradually the teeth go like,
yeah, and
it just loses all pump.
Yeah.
snappiness.
Yeah, and like it doesn't help that like at first I couldn't on my first viewing, I couldn't tell if his teeth came out because like because his teeth are such a close color to his gums. But like on my second watch, of course, I didn't notice that. But like due to how slow it is, I really think for a moment it loses all tension because like the audience isn't like, oh, he can retract his teeth. Instead, it's like, oh, he can retract his teeth just very slowly.
Like, I think when people criticize this sort of stuff, or like, I don't see a lot on YouTube about the impact of visual storytelling. It gets very much overlooked, and then when you talk about, oh, they changed the shot, and when people analyze the shot, you're then accused of being nitpicky, which in some instances I can agree, but I think people don't point out the importance of visual storytelling because I think it's kind of the other half of the narrative. It's more of a naturalistic way as well. Like whatever isn't explicitly said in dialogue, the audience picks up on organically through their own interpretation of what's happening on screen. And there is an art to it, and those subtle changes and differences which appear nitpicky on the surface, but when in the context of the scene and then in the context of the whole movie, ruins those moments. It lessens the drama. It weakens the shock and the tension, which then when the excitement happens, which is probably as good as the original, is not as exciting. Case in point with the test flight scene in this one.
I do really think this is where we might start closing out on the negatives, at least from my point of view. Because we do then enter what I believe is a problem in this movie. And that's over-explaining things. Telling and not showing.
I think they replaced a lot of the visual storytelling through telling what their thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, because like
I noticed this a lot at the end of the scenes because they're trying to artificially extend the scenes to make them longer to fit this new runtime. They need to add more dialogue, and to in some cases, some of the additions I think are nice or okay. Like there's a moment where Gobber, when after Hiccup says, "I want to be like one of you guys," and enters the house. Though I noticed there wasn't the shot of Hiccup leaving the house at the end and then cut to the very cool scene. Was that?
It's more like no. He does leave the house, but it's like it's not through the back. He just waits till Gobber leaves and then exits through the front.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I probably missed that. Anyway, but then, in the original, Gobber just ends with slightly looking down. In this version, Gobber says, "I know." I think in that context, that was a nice addition, because I think he's a little bit more explicit in his empathy towards Hiccup, which could be slightly lost in the original. But there has been other cases where it's just like what's said in dialogue. I can't quite remember at the top of my head because it has been a little bit. Actually, it's been a month. Where they're just saying what can be said visually or in subtle ways.
Here's the thing. That moment that you mentioned, that was going to be a moment that was going to be my example of a negative change for the dialogue.
Fair enough.
Because to me, in the original, it does feel more. It feels more personal, less performative. When you have Gobber like look down sadly as like he acknowledges that that he knows that's all Hiccup wants to be. And like for me personally, having him say that out loud wow, yes, makes that less, makes it more obvious. To me, it kind of ruins the moment because it feels less personal and more performative.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. It did feel more performative. Um, yeah.
But a moment of this that really gets on my wick is in the dragon nest scene. In the original, Hiccup doesn't go, "Oh, the dragon nest." No, the audience knows. The audience isn't stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, Hiccup says, "What my father wouldn't give to see this."
Mm.
And then in the live action,
Like,
he has to
that
spell it out.
works. That works because the audience goes, "Oh, there's large dragons. There's large accumulation of them. It's in the fog where the Vikings were going." Hiccup says that line. "Oh, this must be the dragon's nest." But in the live action, it does feel like that the screenplay has less faith in the audience
I do.
because, like, they spell out that, "Oh, it's the dragon nest." Like, yeah, we know, we have eyes.
I do find it kind of ironic in the sense is that they always have this presumption that because it will be live action, it's going to be more mature, it's more sophisticated than the animated version. Yeah, the actual dialogue and the screenplay is a lot more babyish because
Correct.
it just spells out everything.
Yeah, yeah. The screenplay really holds your hand, while the original doesn't.
Mm.
Okay. If this is enough to get you going about like people talking down to the audience, you guys want to watch an episode of season 13, Thomas and Friends?
I think I'm good.
I'm okay.
You sure? Because that one has
Yeah, I
even
think-
more talking down to the
I
audience.
think it might be alright.
I'm gonna stick
You sure?
to like the first like 5 seasons. Maybe
Are you
6,
sure? Because, like,
7.
I don't think you understand. It's like this season, these episodes, they really tell you that Thomas is sad because him looking at the screen and saying he's sad isn't enough. The narrator has to tell you that Thomas felt terrible. Anyway, for the past hour, we've been talking about the negatives. How about we jump over to the positives?
Hour and a half.
Hold on.
Oh, we're
Do
not
you,
done yet? Okay.
do you two have any other negatives to mention?
I think actually there was like maybe one more negative actually, sorry. I think this is just inherently because it's a live action setting and a mix between Gerard Butler's change in performance with Stoic. I think in the first half he was less intimidating compared to Hiccup. Or he was less like...
Really?
Yeah. And I know that was a little bit more of an intentional change because Nathan Thames just looks like an actual average teenage kid. I say teenage, yeah, he looks like an average like 15-year-old, or even though he's like 17, but whatever, you know, he kind of yeah. Whereas in the animation, it's very exaggerated that Hiccup is tiny. Like, they purposely built the entire world around him to be oversized to draw that distinction and just draw that otherness. So they lent into his differences in his mentality, rather physically, which is just autism, which is an interesting direction. Although I kind of disagree because the original had it like both physically and mentally, whereas this one they tried to go more mentally, I guess, but like I don't think they emphasized that a little bit more. Actually, no, there was a couple of shots like when Stoic pointed to his head when in the arena. I thought that was kind of cute. Like he was reminding him to think like us. But I did find him a little bit less domineering. But I think that was kind of on purpose because they did say. A lot of what I just said now was like actually just repeating what they said in like the interviews.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I'm almost finished. Yeah, because there was a line where they were talking about just before Stoic goes off initially to try and find the dragon's nest, and he's telling Hiccup to go and join the Dragon Academy to fight, learn to fight dragons. Yeah, when he says deal, in the original, it's a very domineering deal. Like, he's commanding him to do it. Whereas this one, he was sort of more playful with it. Like, he was saying deal, like oh, come on, and he was rolling his eyes. And I felt that was a little bit less, like, domineering, but then that's just more of a difference than inherently a negative thing. Because if if it's the intention of the filmmakers to be less domineering physically and to point out the differences in other ways, that's probably why they did the change. Comparing the two with the live action and the animated version, I think is a little bit less impactful because you have that physicality in the original, but I think it's slightly worse, but only slightly, which is kind of just this whole movie in general.
I disagree with Stoic.
Right.
Like, on my first viewing, I thought he was horrifying. Like, that, like, it was the scene in the mead hall that, like, really sold me on, oh, this guy terrifies me.
I do have to admit, he was an absolute goat in terms of the,
Second half?
No, he was an absolute goat in, like, pep talks or, like, riling up the crowd.
Inspiration?
He did it twice. He did it in Meat Hall, then he also did it in the final fight. He did a whole speech, and I felt like I was gonna get off of my the seat of my. I was gonna stand up from my theater seat and charge at the screen.
But I found horrifying as well. Like, is that he's able to rile up this crowd. He's able to get all of them onto his side, and then direct all their attention and over motivation by screaming murder about killing the dragons.
Yeah.
I found that horrifying. At that moment, I was like, "Oh, this man scares me."
Murder the dragons! Kill them all! There was a moment that I did like, which was with Stoic's axe, where he was handing it to Hiccup, and he kept on passing it back to him, and he kept on passing it back. I did like that moment. That was kind of, I was like, okay, I like that. But my biggest favorite change in terms of Stoic's character is what we notice in the interactive map was that the mention of Volker, and they mentioned her 3 times.
Yeah, because like something that I do think they changed. It's that like I do think they really changed Stoic's motivations. In the original, it very much felt like he was going along with killing the dragons because it was tradition, because he was following what his ancestors.
His ancestors.
Said.
I think it was more of a survivability thing in the original.
Okay, sorry, but in this one, it felt a lot more personal. It felt like he had a personal vendetta against the dragons and wanted them all dead because of Valka. And because of that, I think Gerard ends up developing a way more intense, driven Stoic, which I personally found horrifying.
That is an interesting perspective. Yeah. It's that is a change that I like, and it does make it more personal. And makes the ultimate change even more I guess impactful. Also, there was another change. I noticed, I said this in the initial thoughts, but when Hiccup came out his house at the end of the movie, and they was like, "Oh, how did you all get back?" And Stoic just said, "Oh yeah, we flew back on dragons."
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
And
I'm not gonna lie.
No, you say that. You go on.
I do like the moment, but I do wish we saw like Skull Crusher. Like, I do wish there was like a rumble horn that was like around him, or like nuzzled up to him.
Yeah,
I really
Okay, that-
would have liked if they went the extra mile to go like, yeah, he rode back on Skull Crusher. That's
that-
where they met.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird thing, cause it's like they went out of their way to add rumble horns into the movie,
Mhm.
as if like that could be a set, and then especially with that implication, that would have just been the perfect opportunity to put him in there, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just like I don't know, like just a rump. I don't know, maybe like I think this could have been a change they could have made some point in the movie, like maybe during the dragon ambush scene, a rumble horn is the one that attacks them. Like there is a rumble horn. It's like, oh, that's the dragon setting up Skull Crusher, and then we see him later on at the end, like you said.
Mhm.
Something like
yeah.
that.
I think it should. Yeah, I think it should have been like a subtle thing. I don't think it should have been like obvious. This is Skull Crusher. I
Yeah.
trained this dragon now. Oh, I love this. You know, I don't. I think that would have been a little bit too extreme for this movie. But I like. But yeah, just him sort of in the background would have been. I think would have been like. I like. Yeah.
I also segues into like the dragon, like some of the new dragons in general that they add into this movie. Like again, the Rumblehorn and the Skrills. If you're okay with me actually moving on to that subject, or if you want me to hold back.
There is just one small thing I wanted to mention.
All right.
I love how like when Hiccup walks out of his house, in the original, you have like Stoic just like walks up to him and puts his shoulder up and puts his arm on his shoulder. But in the live action, you can see Stoic like slowly sneak up on him as he approaches from behind. It's a small change that I love.
Stoic jump scare. Just like that one Viking at the beginning of the movie. Ah, morning.
Morning.
They got rid of that too.
Ah!
They really. I mean, it's for me. It's hard to like talk about the intro because half the intro was obscured for me
But
on
I
the
feel like
cinema.
that could have been something.
Really?
Something they could have added normally,
Yeah,
right?
because like for the first like 5 minutes of the movie, it was just orange, so I couldn't see shit, and we
Yes.
were also distracted from that, so I wasn't even paying attention to what I could hear either. I did hear a couple of dialogue changes, but like I have a feeling like the intro to the movie is like gonna be so less like is less perfected because the original is. I feel like that was like perfect intro.
There are a lot of changes to the opening, and I'll fully admit, on my first watch, I thought it was butchered. Like, I thought it didn't really have the timing or the energy of the original. But on my second watch, the opening did work a lot more. But as we go on, I do realize that they did change a lot more than I thought. Because like, the vast majority of the framing is different. They do change the wording and of the opening, and they do change the introduction of Astrid. And
I think I
do
like the change of the introduction of
Yeah.
Astrid though.
I do love that change that they added, where the sheep that the Natter takes
The Natter.
isn't a real sheep. It's
But
a
a dummy.
false
It's an
one.
alarm.
Yeah, I love that.
I didn't see that. That was like, yeah, I wish I saw that. I couldn't see that.
Oh, that's yeah, I get it. It's like the Natter picks it up, and it's a contraption that just goes bing, bing, ding, 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 ding.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have to admit, like the intro though, like when he was describing it, it felt so much more flat. In the original, there
Yeah.
was like a specific snark or like
Sarcasm. Hiccup
sarcastic
sarcasm.
element to it. Yeah. Whereas this one is like, oh, the views aren't that great. And it's like, okay, that's like it feels so American sarcasm. Whereas before it was like, I don't know. But then again, this Hiccup is a lot less sarcastic in general.
Oh.
Which I
And he's American.
True. I personally dislike because the sarcasm does give the original Hiccup a lot of character
Mm-hmm.
because he uses it in as a defensive tool, especially whenever he's like being picked on. But this is a different interpretation of Hiccup, so I think for me that was definitely have to be a rewatch type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because also that was when my mind was the freshest of, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I slowly was like, I did think to myself, hang on, remember, different movie, treat this movie as its own thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now, if Zane wants, we can move on to the new dragons, or just dragons in general.
Are we okay with that? You gonna let me talk, or you want to talk over me some more?
You can interrupt us. I told you, we have this more free throwing. But also,
Yeah,
you're
but
working
I'm
with two very neurodivergent people here, so we apologize. I apologize. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to squeeze in my 2 cents when you two are constantly. It's hard to find an opening. It's like I don't want to speak up unless there's an opening. I don't want to just talk over you two.
It's called a conversation. Join in.
Yeah, but that's not how I've been wired. That's not how I was raised. I was raised to shut up and let others talk.
To be fair, you are like battling two autistic people whose this is their special interest. So we're just like gonna be yapping.
You see, if this was a Thomas podcast, you two would have to listen to me yap forever.
Yes.
Exactly. I feel like we should change this podcast from Carnivorous Conversation to Autistic Conversations.
Anyway, the squirrels and the rumble horns. They were added to the movie, but like, why? It's kind of like, okay, rumble horn, it's kind of like the weird one, because like, there was a setup there. They could have added that. That would have been an okay change, like we said earlier, but they didn't capitalize on it.
Yeah.
And in fact, so now they don't even say rumble horn once in the movie, I think.
No.
So it's like,
Yeah.
it's just a background dragon that you just have to squint to see because it's never given any limelight. It's just there. And then, which I guess I'm okay with for Rumblehorn, sort of. There's like a bit of like continuity thing with Race to the Edge and whatnot, but that's like, we don't know if they'll ever consider that canon or not.
Oh no,
But
for
then, like,
this it's not canon at all.
I know that, but like, then there's like the Skrill. That's the one that really bothers me. I talked about this with Orc in the past, but like, I'm not sure I like out of all the dragons they could have chosen to be another common dragon. Like even in the opening when he's saying grunkles, natters, zipplebacks, skrills. He specifically mentioned skrills, so that means they're there. But again, just like the Rumblehorn, you barely see it. It blends, especially with the new natter design. It kind of blends in with it. Like, there are many moments where I'm just no.
I'm apologizing. I didn't mean to interrupt them.
Let them cook.
So like, it's like the natter and the skrill. They both have very similar design philosophy, where it's like horn at the front, a kind of a pseudo frill at the back, and then like, so then when you see them together, since the skrill is considered a background dragon, when it is included in the scene, it's really hard to tell it apart from the natter since everything is constantly in motion. So like, and then, but what really stings is like, the skrill was such a big deal dragon in the past. Yeah, there you go.
They have completely different. Look at these.
Okay, okay, hang on. Hold them side. Yes, you can help.
They're
You can help me out here.
different.
I know they're different, but because there's never a scene where the skrill is standing still, it's just like in motion. The two have very. If you look at them from in motion, it's gonna be hard to tell the difference.
I could see that.
Yeah,
But,
see?
Yeah.
If they had a scene where the skrill was just like, they had a close-up scene with the skrill, then it would be easier to pick it out. But since they don't have that, it's just like, it's just there. Because the skrill is such like just a dragon that like, I know that the shows aren't going to be considered into this canon at all, because they were barely canon in the movies as well. It's like, the skrill was always such a big, like, the big deal dragon. Like, when it's out, people like, uh-oh. It's a real uh-oh moment.
It was an event.
Yeah. But then in this movie, now it's just grouped in with the most common dragons. Like, the most regular ones. The ones you'll just see everywhere. And I really don't like that. I don't like that they basically made the Skrill one of the boys.
I think I disagree.
Yeah, you
I-
disagreed with me back then too.
I will say, I am kind of glad that we got that we didn't get a close-up look of the Skrill, because like you can see it on like on the giant stones as they approach the dragon's nest, and like it just looks like a frog. It gave me big frog vibes.
Hop up, hop hop.
Like they butchered my boy. They turned him into a frog.
I think the
He
main.
just comes. Okay, he just comes out and he just starts saying. He just starts quoting Hop Pop. Eat the rich. There it is.
Eat the rich!
Sylvia, let me express my feelings through song and dance. Where did you get that Skrill toy?
I bought it.
So, like, I think in terms of, like, background dragons, I think the Skrill, like, okay, yeah, it's nice that we get to have Skrill toys now, so that's the plus side. But at the same time...
We already had Skrill toys.
What?
We already had Skrill toys. I own 2.
Well, I never saw one. I think in terms of, like, dragons, background dragons, I would have much preferred if they gave us the Snafflefangs and the Hubble Grunts. Because those are already very nothing dragons.
Mhm.
I mean, of course, Orca would disagree because he's dissected them. But, like, to like, the general audience, if we're gonna have another background dragon, give something to, like, Rain Cutters. Those are, like, dragons that just exist in the background and don't get to have limelight that often, which would have been this movie. They would have fit right in. It would have fit like a glove. But then the Skrill, again, they took a big bad dragon and made it one of the boys when they already had many boys who could be the boys.
I'm waiting so patiently to counter this.
Or preferably, use a Typhoomerang, the better rain cutter.
Wait. No, that's... No, not Rain Cutter. Timberjack.
Yes, that's right, sorry.
Oh, fake fan. Alright, let me tell you, a real fan will completely dissect. Your opinion is wrong. Objectively wrong.
Okay, you can go on your little tangent.
Yeah, your counter argument is?
But Skrill.
What? That's it?
That is a fair point, but Skrill.
It's like, objection! Skrill.
Okay, I mean, there is actually more. Okay, well, I feel like structurally, adding on extra dragons was always going to be just background dragons because the original movie has always been. The original set of dragons were always very purposeful because within the movie, they specifically had their moments to shine. Mm-hmm. Hence, with Hiccup listing them in the intro and also in each, they have a scene each. If not multiple, to be honest.
At least get me noticed. Gronkles are tough. Catching one of those to get me a girlfriend.
But they get a scene in the Dragon Arena at least
They
once.
changed that dialogue too.
Yes, they did. Now it's like, now they switched it around so that now, I like how I'm interrupting Orca for once. So now it's the Gronkle first because I always found that weird in the original, that the Gronkle is a step above the Natter. Because like, that's weird because the Natter was always seen like the first day of dragon training, Gronkle was level 1. So it just seemed weird that it was like,
Sorry.
that it's like, I do like that this new change makes it so the Gronkle is the one that gets you noticed this time. Because Gronkle is like the slower one. It's like the Natter's the step above.
And also, the actual dialogue now implies that the original dialogue was about him getting a girlfriend. That was the goal of the dialogue and him in that scene. But here, in live action, it's more about him getting noticed in society.
Ah, this is the. To be fair, that was a good realization because I didn't know. Again, the intro was butchered for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's okay. That makes up for what they lacked later on, which we'll get into when we go and talk about Astrid. Okay. Anyway, go back to what I was saying. How dare you interrupt me? Grr.
Well, to be fair, you never let me start.
That is funny. I love the way this whole video is just us bickering about interrupting each other, but
Yeah.
I don't mean.
What do you mean each other? It's just me. You just cut me off.
I don't mean to. It's just my neurospiciness just not realizing that you haven't finished yet. Anyway, so Skrill. Anyway, structure of the film, Skrill was always going to be a background dragon, though I did like they get mentioned a couple of times. So they will never get like a unique part to highlight. But I'm not too. I don't dislike that they included the Skrill. I know he was sort of originally a kind of a big bad dragon instead of just generic background dragon in the like what you were saying earlier. But I'm sort of counting all these dragons as their own separate thing. I read out we're gonna get a sort of series for this, so I'm kind of thinking that in this world, the Skrills are just more common. My main point being is I don't mind so much the Skrill being a background dragon because in this world I don't see it as so much as a big bad. I fully accept that it could just be slightly more common, and also Skrills are just cool.
Yeah, and it's a Skrill. It's a lightning dragon. If they needed another background dragon, use one of the background dragons.
I've accepted the fact that they are just randomly adding in extra dragons because reasons. Okay? So if they were going to add an extra dragon in, a Skrill I do not give two shits about.
But the Skrill's a lightning dragon. If you have a lightning dragon in the raid, you don't see any lightning. It's like the Skrill.
I wish they did more with the lightning dragon, but they just didn't.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making.
I know.
Why include the lightning dragon if you're not gonna use the lightning dragon?
I think we both have the same.
Fine.
I think we both have the same critique, but I think the sort of issue is what we're deriving the issue from is different. If that makes sense. Like we both want the Skrill to be more into the movie, but I'm okay with the fact that it's a background dragon, whereas you dislike it just being in the background, I guess.
Like maybe if they use it more, I wouldn't have minded. But since they didn't use it, I'm like I would have preferred them including a Snafflefang or a Raincutter. Not a Typhoomerang though. I think Typhoomerang is also kind of like a special one.
Yeah, but like, what's the difference between a Skrill and a Snufflefang?
What do you mean? What's the difference? There's a huge. You should know the difference.
All dragons are equal.
That's not true.
All dragons are equal.
If they're all equal, then why do you have a favorite?
Because it's Toothless. Toothless is special. All dragons are equal.
No. You're saying all dragons are equal except Toothless.
He's toothless.
We're getting nowhere with this.
I do have to admit, you two win.
Yes. Sweet victory.
So anyways, moving on. Next dragon.
That's such
Okay.
like a nothing fucking argument.
So we talked about the Rumblehorn. We talked about the Skrill. I sort of talked about the Terrible Terror. Is there anything you want to add on that, or should we move on to one of the bigger dragons?
I really like the Gronkle.
I love the Gronkle in this.
I didn't like it when I first saw the design, but as soon as I got my hand on the toy, I fell in love with it. Like,
I think it grew on me in the movie. I think the moment that I liked it was when he did the sneezing with the dragon flag. I was like, okay, that's cute. Okay, I like it
Hang on.
now.
Did you call Meatlug a boy?
Meatlug could be a he in this. We don't know. We don't know the sex of the dragon.
No.
They wouldn't change something so
Hold
big
on,
like
no,
that.
Unless did they say?
No.
Did they say she?
No.
Did they say that Meatlug was a female in this?
No.
I can't remember. It's been a month.
I can. Shut up.
Let your autism fly, brother. Come on, tell me I'm wrong.
Fish legs uses pronouns she when he's talking about Meatlug. It's when Meatlug is crashing during the Red Death.
All right, I was wrong. I mean, to be fair, I don't know why I said he.
My autism is stronger than yours.
Fuck, my autism didn't work with the system. You know, I'm gonna counter that. I'm gonna counter you by dragons don't have gender. Fuck you. I actually prefer the design of the Red Death in this. Actually,
We're still talking about the Grunkle. What are you doing?
I'm moving on. Screw Meatlug. I don't care about Meatlug.
Just because you lost.
No, shut up.
This is a Meatlug enjoyer household. We do not tolerate
Meatlug.
We do not tolerate Meatlug slander in this household.
True, because I really do like Meatlug. Fuck. She's fucking cute as fuck. Carry on.
I will say, I gotta talk about the Grunkle because I think I really love how it's handled in this movie. So, like, first of all,
she left. She tried to leave the arena.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I love that.
That's the thing that just shows the dragon's first instinct isn't fight the Vikings. It's I gotta get out of here. And then,
Sorry,
she can't leave. So and then of course this little thing they added. They didn't have to, but they did add it. There's a scene where Meatlug, one of the things she does when she's outside, ooh, rocks, num 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 num, which I really like that because in the original movie, I don't think it was fully established about the Grunkle's love of eating rocks yet, at least not yet. I mean, that's something that
in the original Meatlug ate rocks so she could shoot at the characters.
Yeah, like that shot was pretty much identical. And then also Gobbo was like explaining it as well. It was like, they eat rocks to regurgitate. They have a number of shots. How many does a Grunkle have?
But wait a second. Doesn't that just mean a Grunkle can just eat an infinite amount of rocks and then have an infinite shot limit?
Yeah. The shot limit, I do have to admit, that was one thing, a change that I would have minded, was ignoring the shot limit. Because to be honest, that has always been a bit, like, ignored. It was kind of a pointless addition in the original. I think it was in this revision.
It's there to build tension.
I guess, but
I guess.
It feels like it should have been paid off somehow, and it just never was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that being said, I still really love
Similar, hang on, with the sound as well. Did they bang their shields and stuff together in the final climax? They did.
Yeah,
they did. But then
they did. Okay.
Just that's another. Just that.
In the live action.
In live action, they actually say that our sound is affecting our dragons. Yet another example of telling and not showing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry,
that was just me misremembering.
I think in that case, it's probably better they tell it because the dragons are a little less expressive compared to the original.
I don't think so.
No, okay. Well, anyway, the point.
I think I agree with Zane. I think.
Okay. So now I have some footing. I can say some more. Because like in the animated, they're just banging their shields, and you can just see Hookfang and Meatlug are very disorientated because of it. You can see it physically, but because here, it's a lot harder to do that because they're probably just looks like they're shaking. No.
It's the rule of live action, like, because these are real creatures. They try to make them realistic, which then in turn ruins the visual storytelling and the emotions. It's literally just the Mufasa. Well, it's literally the Lion King, live action Lion King issue. Because they tried to make it so realistic, it removes any of them being able to emote.
Yeah.
Which, in this movie, isn't holistically an issue because they are just treated as animals. It's only probably the one time that it would affect the movie was that in one moment, but then they overexposed. They explained it rather than showed it instead, which.
Okay, rounding
Okay,
back.
so back onto the Grunkle.
I feel like
Yes.
that would have been a better argument of why some. Sorry, I need to shut up. I'm all over. Carry on.
Yes, I still really love the Gronk, because, like, this is kind of like a case of, like, I guess on one, people could make the argument that, like, oh, it doesn't look anything like the original, it's bad. Especially because Meatlug is the most different from all the dragons. But then I still like the change, because it's like,
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's a pug dragon, it's a pug with wings.
Here's the thing.
Shake it again.
Apparently,
Yes, I love this action feature, especially because, like, I remember it, like, when Fishlegs is riding Meatlug, it's just constantly shaking, so it just translates very well to the toy. It looks really good.
okay, so here's the thing. The Grunkle isn't actually based on a pug. Apparently, it's directly based on Dean's bulldog.
What's the difference between a pug and a bulldog?
There's a big difference.
I mean,
One can rip your arm off, the other can't.
yeah, but
Either way,
plumpy
dog dragon, dog with wings.
And also, I love this. This is a detail that I noticed on my second watch. That, like, when Gobber is putting the Grunkle away, of course, may look like tries to fly and like lifts Gobber up. First off, I love that. And she takes off Gobber's fake hand. and something that I noticed in my rewatch, in her pen, you can see there are many fake Gobber arms already on the floor. This has happened many times.
Oh, that's actually an amazing detail. Oh, there you go. You got your case of show don't tell. How do we feel about the color change though? Because I'm okay. Like, design change, okay, that's good. But then what about going from brown with a pinkish hue on the back to, like, blue?
I would have preferred if it was the original colors, because like every dragon has a very distinct color to them. I said distinct, but when you change Meatlug to being blue as well, you now have two blue dragons.
Yeah, I thought of that the moment I said it.
Like, I would have preferred if she was more of the colors of the original toy, where it was beige on bottom and a dark blue on the top, instead of her being colored like toothpaste.
I think she should have been colored a completely different color, but I'm trying to think what color they haven't used, because they sort of used a red, blue,
Yeah,
green.
Yeah. There's yellow, I guess.
Yeah.
Purple? Would purple work?
Purple would work.
Purple's now taken by the squirrel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, another reason why the squirrel shouldn't have been in this.
But to be fair, with the rumble horns, we now have two green dragons.
Another reason why the rubber horn should have been in this.
Anyway, did we close our thoughts on the Grunkle, or do we still have a bit more?
I like it. I like it. That's it.
Okay, if no one has any objections, we're gonna move on to the Natter.
Yes. I love the Natter. I adore the Natter. I think it's so cool. I love it.
I think, like, here's the thing. Out of all the common dragons, the Natter has always been my favorite. When translated to live action, it is still my favorite. I still love it.
just the design is so cool. Like that extremely narrow head alongside the sleek build. It's fantastic. And also, just like, I don't know what it is, but like, of course, not every shot with the CGI is perfect. But I don't know what happened, but like, it's like they decided to lock in whenever Bernardo is on screen. Like, constantly, Bernardo looks fantastic. Like in some shots in the training scene, I felt like I could reach into the screen and touch Bernardo's nose. Like, it was so good. Oh, I love it. I was also the shot where the Nada is running after Snotlout and Astrid, I believe. And the camera is practically like between its legs, and you have like the feet like go in front of the frame one by one as both the dragon and the camera move. I think that shot is so cool. I love it.
Very, very cool. It's just, I also love that they kept the colors. The colors are the same because Stormfly's always had a very appealing color scheme, and now it's still there. It's just Stormfly, but realistic-ified, and it translated really well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because like the excuse probably would have been, oh, they're realistic. They're realistic now. Can't have cartoony colors, but that excuse wouldn't work because like wildlife, especially animals, can have the most bizarre colors to them.
Mm-hmm. Birds.
A lot of reptiles themselves are very brightly colored.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think there's really not much I can say other than I love the way the Natter. I love everything about the Natter.
Yeah.
I loved it back then. I still love it back then, but I love this one just as much.
I think I really like the Monstrous Nightmare in this. I really like the crocodile sort of face or crocodilian sort of thing.
That's another dragon that got translated into live action really well.
Is it just me, or does the nightmare feel bigger in live action?
It does. It does.
Like, I'll fully admit, in the original, I was always a bit underwhelmed by how small the nightmare felt. But in the live action, it's huge. It always goes outside the frame. It is huge. Like, when it's on the ceiling, there is a bird's eye view shot where Hiccup is just in the shadow of the nightmare, and he is dwarfed by it. I think it's so cool.
It does really help that in this it looks really menacing, like really scary, especially. And it complements the two scenes that it's in because it's the climax dragon to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, is it two scenes?
Yeah,
no, it's just the one scene. The sort of the main scene in the arena. It's the climax dragon.
Because it is prominent in the intro.
Yeah, but I mean an individual scene that it's highlighted in. The Monstrous Nightmare, I think, is very menacing, and I remember them having more shots of it, like, walking around the arena or, like, firing at the crowd. Before, it was just, like, a couple of things, and then it turned on Hiccup, whereas this was a bit more of a proper, like, cage.
Like, another detail, just like Meatlug, Hook Fang's first instinct was to try and get out of there.
Yeah, but that is in the first movie.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. Like, he did, like... But it was very quick. It was, like, he ran up and then was at the top and then fell back down. Yeah. It just felt very, very scary, which works.
Yeah,
also,
that's something...
Go on.
That's something I forget about the Monstrous Nightmare, that in the first movie, when it was just those first dragons, the Monstrous Nightmare was seen as one of the big ones, one of the more intimidating ones. It was, like, before we got introduced to Skrills, Whispering Deaths, the Monstrous Nightmare was one of the big threatening ones.
It was supposed to be the scary one. But I think that's more of the franchise critique, because over time it became very, very common and then also quite cartoonish in its...
It's the anime logic, where you introduce an enemy from the start, but then as the show goes on and that enemy becomes an ally, he becomes weaker and weaker as they meet stronger foes.
But it's just like the Wild Nightmares never were intimidating. Like they always just treat them as like.
Yeah, I can see your point.
Yeah.
Something that I love is that in live action, it's Hook Fang's roar that gets Tuvus's attention. Like in the original,
Oh yeah.
it's Hiccup's scream. I never liked that. That never worked for me. But like in this one, it's Fiend Nightmare's roar that really grabs Tufus's attention. That makes him come running to Hiccup.
Fair enough.
Like I really like that change.
I didn't mind so much this Hiccup's original screen because I think I mapped it out that the cove is actually not that far away from the arena.
But for me, I never clicked that together until like I met you two.
But then again, in context of
I always
this,
thought
because
I always thought Toothless had. I just thought that Toothless had a sixth sense that he had truly bonded with Hiccup, and that somehow, some way, he knew Hiccup was in trouble.
But this is a different Burke, so yeah, because the different Burke and the landscape's completely different. So even the arena position, it being at the top of the village, which is the thing I saw in the trailer, which I sort of speculated on. And I was correct. I was like, oh yay! So I was correct about the change. But yeah, sorry. But yeah, it kind of makes sense if they change that because I think because of the changing locations, they would have been a lot more further distance.
Zippleback?
Zippleback. There was something I didn't mention. I really liked the effect in the Zippleback scene. In the arena, where it's all like you can't see anything because it's just gas. I think they did that phenomenally.
I'll be honest. That didn't really work for me personally.
Really?
There was a moment where like, it's when Astrid and Ruffin are talking.
Yeah.
And like in the background, you can see one of the Zippleback heads like slowly move across like a part of the frame. Like as it's shrouded within the smoke. Like moments like that I really like, but like for some reason when they're in the actual fog, that didn't really work for me. I'll be honest. But I think the moment where Hiccup hurts the Zippleback into the pen is actually improved in the live action. Because like
I can see that.
Like I prefer how like you can actually see the Zipplebacks like physically like recoil in disgust at the smell of the eels, and like how the heads both like snap at each other. I really like how it's done in the live action.
I'm trying to think of I'm trying to remember the scene in the original.
In the original, it's just Gobber's running to help, but then we cut to the Zipplebacks just already backing off.
Yeah.
You don't get the like intense sniff and then
yeah.
Like a, ooh, Fair
enough. I can't quite put my finger on why or put across the wording why I liked that. I think that was because I haven't seen it for a while. But I do remember enjoying the effect of that. I think maybe just how the fog worked, and I think it probably could have been the subtlety of seeing the creature in it. And then also, I was very worried how they were going to make out that the Astrid and Ruffnut in the fog was going to look like a Zippleback. Because I did think, oh god, that's just not going to look like what they tried to do. But they did actually make it work, I think.
I'll be honest. I think their shape is more convincing in the live action.
I can't remember their shape, so I can't take a side. I will say though, in terms of Zippleback's design, like when it was revealed, it was still the one I felt like the most unsure about.
Same.
Even now, after watching it in action, I still don't have very strong opinions on it. It still feels like the dragon that I'm still like not that fussed about in terms of design. Like it has the chameleon motif, but the terrible terror pulls it off better. So Zippleback's just kind of like that dragon that like the others like, oh, I'm gushing over them, but then there's also this guy. He's just in the back waiting for my praise that he's never gonna get.
I like the
I
Zippleback.
get
I think I like the proportions of the Zippleback. It feels more chunky in this
Same.
version.
I'm not saying
Like-
it's a bad design. I'm just saying it's the one that I think about the least. Now you can go.
I really like how like the specifically how the legs are structured. Like specifically how the musculature attaches to like the body. Like I really like how that looks.
Mm.
No, but the only thing I'm not 100% sold on is the face. Like there's something about the face that makes me go, you are not ready. I really think it's because like the original, the eyes kind of bulge out. They specifically have their own like looped area where it's just the eyes. But meanwhile, for every other live-action creature, the eyes have become a part of the face, rather than them being independent. Like I don't think that's something that was carried through for the Zippleback. Like I really do think it has like a circular structure at the back of the head, a circular structure for the eyes, and then a circular structure for the snout at the front. Like I really think it would have been better if it was just one structure from the face to the back, with just the eyes in the middle.
I thought the Zippleback was fine.
Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, like it's not bad. It's just it doesn't click with me as much as the others.
Yeah, that's the message I was trying to convey there.
Ow, fuck. God, it's 28 degrees in here. Almost 29. I am very sweaty.
I don't know how hot it is, but I'm sweating.
I am...
It's been cold here.
Really?
It has been nothing but clouds for the past 2 weeks.
It's been the opposite. We have been boiling.
I really want to open my window, but I can't.
The weird thing is, this is usually the time where I should also be boiling, but it's just clouds.
Or
That's
about,
climate change for you.
to be honest,
Yeah,
like
same.
out of the three of us, I have the least to say because I'm probably not as much of a dino nerd as you two are.
Yes, because I do like how a lot of these designs do remind me of dinosaurs. Like, I've said this before, but like the Gronkle like gives me like big ceratopsian vibes.
Shake 'em.
Like,
Shake her.
like I could very easily see this being like some weird ceratopsian like Protoceratops or Psittacosaurus. No, so the Nada, just like whenever I see the Nada on screen, I'm like, yeah, that's real. That's a dragon. That's a dinosaur. I love it. I think that might be why the Zippleback doesn't work as well for me, because the face isn't really structured that of like a dinosaur.
And meanwhile,
Actually, I have it right here.
Yeah, what are you
I was
doing?
sort of thinking why you brought it out because you brought out all the others.
Yeah, like as you can see. Who am I going to use?
Use Bath.
eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
I'll use you. Okay. Actually, no. You're shorter. It would be better if I used this one. Blech. Everything's all tangled. Okay, so as you can see,
Okay, you're using Belch.
yep, there's a lump here.
I'm gonna pretend that I knew that.
The eyes are separate, and then there's another lump here. I would have preferred if this was more of a triangle, to where all these lumps aren't here, and like all of the eyes are positioned into the face, like Fernanda. It's less triangular.
Meanwhile,
I think surely differences, as in like, you don't want them all to look similar.
Yeah.
but here's the thing.
Uniqueness.
That's how dinosaur heads are structured, especially carnivores. They are structured like a triangle.
Fair enough. But I'm just thinking design-wise.
Yeah, but like the
If they really wanted to be different, they could have gone for a Carcharodontosaurid head, more of an
Yeah.
oval.
I was going to say that isn't really the case for the Gronkor, but yet the Gronkor works for me. I don't know. I really think it is like the eyes having its own little separate bit for the Zippleback that puts me off it.
Fair enough.
I mean, and the Terrible Terror is not even copying dinosaurs as a chameleon
Red.
motif, and that's why I love him. I love the
Red.
Terrible Terror.
Red Death. Red Death.
Now it's time to talk
Red
about
Death,
the big guy.
Red Death. I really like Red Death.
Ba-da-da,
Oh, you have it!
ba-da-da.
Honestly, from seeing the toy, seeing it much more clearly, I think I do prefer the design of this over the original Red Death.
Original?
Yeah, I don't think I was never like the biggest fan in the original design. I do have to admit I didn't even really like the multiple eyes, or the three bulging eyes. I can't remember if this one had multiple eyes.
Yeah, it does.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it has 6 eyes.
But I don't know. It was
I-
just sort of the whole. I guess I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I think this is maybe the jaw or the face. I just never
do-
fully clicked with the Red Death.
I personally really liked the original Red Death. I think the design of the original Red Death is gorgeous. Like, that's the reason why it was the first ever dragon I drew by hand. Because, like, I love the design.
Mm.
But, like, I really didn't like the Red Death at first, especially from the toy. Because look at that. It's just
a rumble
mouth.
horn.
It's just a mouth.
I always looked at it and I keep confusing it for a rumble horn.
Yeah, because you're dumb.
That's just a Triceratops.
But in the live action, but in the live action, I do think the design works a lot more because, like, yeah, it's just a giant mouth and it's horrifying. I do think,
Especially with the moment with Astrid in its mouth.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
She absolutely had a badass moment, like just absolutely smacking the fuck out of its teeth.
like,
And then
I
Stormflash
think,
just like, thanks for the help, buddy. Bye.
like,
Bye.
I think the Red Death is done is like framed and just done great in the live action. Like, you can really sense that. Oh, it is huge, and like, it kills people. This dragon actually kills people.
Oh, that's right. People did die that day.
It stabs on so many people. Oh my god. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I would have wished if they did up the violence a little bit in the live action remake. Like, I would have liked if they bumped it up to like a 12. Like, have it be implied that like as Zippleback kills somebody. Like you don't need to actually show it, but like have a shot of him.
Have someone say like, we lost Bork to the Zippleback.
No, yes, say that, but also like have like a POV shot of like a Zippleback's head, like lunging towards the camera, like visually imply the deaths,
I get it.
but don't actually show it. Yeah.
After you sent this gif of the Red Death, I do see a lot more similarities than before.
I will say, the original one does have a neck, which the live action one lacks.
Hold them up. Keep it holding there. I want to compare. I want to see. Because I was a little off-putting by it because I thought it looked too different. But now that I'm looking at it again, I do see a lot more similarities than I originally thought.
Yeah, it's got the big head crest and the nasal horn.
Yeah. But the thing is, in the art book, the design they end up going with does have a prominent neck. It's more proportioned like the original. But for some reason, somewhere, they changed the proportions to this. Which, I'll be honest, I think in the movie works. Because it's literally just a giant mouth. And it is horrifying. And in movement, it does feel a lot like it does feel a lot like a Triceratops, which I think works. But like, but but as a toy, I don't think that really works. Like I expressed earlier that I really like how it like mind controls Stormfly and tries to eat her. Like while I do love the original where like it sucks her in through the air, but it adds that consistency between the alphas that I really like.
I completely
Gives
forgot
them-
on like the climax of this. I think I was still stuck on like the snot out stuff. I did not notice the Red Death trying to mind control Stormfly.
Mm-hmm. Here's a critique I have about Red Death. I don't really like how it's presented in the Dragon's Nest in the intro. I mean, when it's introduced.
Really?
Like you have its horn just pierce out of the fog, but like, in that case, where are the dragons thrown?
Yeah.
Where are they throwing their food?
That actually makes that's okay. That's kind of a double because on one hand, it's really cool that it's like it's blending in with the structure, and all of a sudden it just moves. It's like that's the reveal. That's cool. But on the other hand, that means after he's done, he's like, okay.
It's just like I'm just like imagining just remove all the fog and it's just like the dragon's sleeping and then occasionally you just like get slapped in the face by fish and then they're just a sheep. I'm trying to sleep down here.
Also, what it eats two dragon. I know it eats a Gronkle. What's the other dragon it eats?
Zippleback. It also ate it in the original.
Okay, I was just checking because upon my first watch, I was checking to see if that was a Skrill it ate, but because everything's moving so fast, I can't tell what dragon's getting eaten.
I do have to admit, I can't wait until this comes out on digital or like a DVD. I really want to like skim through it like scene by scene and go like, oh Skrill, oh Rumblehorn, oh new dragon. I'm kind of curious if there's any other background dragon that we missed because we've only mentioned Rumblehorn and Skrill. But I guarantee, well, I don't guarantee, but I kind of hope there might be a couple more that were just right in the back. Mind you, there were a couple of extra dragons that we don't know of, as in the ones that attacked the Vikings ships.
I wouldn't be surprised because like I know because I spotted this today, but like when the dragons are flying away from the nest, it's shot at in the trailer. There is a dragon that is shaped like the Nada, like the Skrill, but it's green.
That could just be a green Skrill.
No, because like even then, I'm pretty sure it might have had like a different crest.
Huh. Speaking of mysterious dragons, I almost forgot about the water dragon.
I think I might have identified it.
Tell me, because I am clueless.
At first, I thought, ooh, it might be a Scoldron, because it's huge. But on my rewatch, I saw its tail. It doesn't have the big flipper.
Well,
It has more like...
Let him finish.
Are you looking at the design of the Scoldron, the live action one, or are you comparing it to the original?
I do have the original one in mind, but I presume that's the same.
But let's see what he says. Let's see his analysis.
I did see like a little, a more like a normal dragon, like just like a normal dragon tail with like a lot of spikes on the end of it. I'm like not on the end of it. Not on the end of it, but more like going up, like the Skrill.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do think about okay, it's wide, it's underwater, it has a row of spikes going up it. I think it might just be a sea shocker.
Honestly, I was thinking the same thing when I saw my first thought wasn't Scoldron. My first thought was Sea Shocker.
Mm-hmm. I will admit, I did default to Scoldron because Scoldron is my favorite title class dragon.
I think that would be the case of looking in again, but also looking in the Book of Dragons. Like Whispering Death does not look like anything like the original Whispering Death.
Really?
It has a round head, but the very iconic feature of the Whispering Death is his giant, gaping, rotating teeth in its mouth. And it's
Does it not have that?
No, it does not. It just looks like a normal sort of dragon. It has its mouth closed. It's just staring at you. I mean, it's spherical in shape, but that's it. It's just like.
I think that's I think we have a nice little segue to talk about the Book of Dragons.
There's nothing to talk about Book of Dragons.
Weren't there any other species revealed in there? Or
Not
did it
really.
just-
I mean,
We saw the Snaptrapper, which I'm happy to see.
there was
I
the
hope-
bone upper, the screw. There was nothing overly exciting. I mean, we did go more in depth with it when we talked about looked at it in the interactive map. I don't think there was any more shots that we didn't see from the interactive map.
Never one.
But it's hard to analyze without it physically in front of us. Like, I can't memorize because they're like 2, if not 1 second shots going by. This is a freeze frame type ordeal.
Do you think any of those dragons will ever appear in the sequel?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I kind of
I
hope.
re-
I kind of
I
hope that we
really
do
ho-
get more background dragons that we just missed.
I really hope we see the Snaptrapper someday. It is the only dragon from that Book of Dragons special that hasn't been in something.
Yeah.
I do have to admit, I do find it curious that they re-put in the bone napper. Because they did non-canonize the bone napper. Well, the legends of the bone napper, they non-canonized. Though I disagree. But
Yes.
I know it's still in the original Book of Dragons, but like if you're thinking, let's decanonize that story, maybe just not have that dragon exist. It's kind of weird that it's like, oh, it's supposed to be a mythical story dragon that Vikings may or may not know exists, yet there's quite a detailed drawing of it.
So does that mean there is such thing as a hammerhead yak?
Yes.
Maybe.
to be fair, that's just Gobber just telling his wild stories. And that's just a very Viking thing to do.
It's
Yes.
just Gobber's tall tales. If I'm
Yeah.
lying, I'm crying.
Yeah. That's like the number one thing about their culture is tall tales and exaggerated feats. Because
Oh, that's right. Thor showed up in that as well.
Yeah. All serves the Viking ego, which means nothing currently, but we'll get into when I do my big analysis. The original has a strange dragon.
People time.
People time.
Yes. Who shall we begin with?
Let's start with the main character.
I mean, do you have anything to add? I don't really have anything to add. Like, I think...
Yeah, we have basically, because while we were dissecting the plot, we basically said everything we did about him and Stoic. You guys went on a long time about Stoic, so that's those two characters covered already, technically.
Go on.
No, I was gonna move on. So if you have something else, say it now.
The only thing we have to say about Hiccup is about his leg. I presume that was done with CGI, like Gobber.
No.
But like,
No. They just chopped his leg off in real life.
He was really dedicated to his role.
Exactly.
but here's the thing. That now means going into the future, every single shot with Hiccup's foot is going to be a CGI shot.
Yeah, that's gonna be very.
Every
difficult,
single
isn't
shot with the main character is going to have a visual effect of it. That is going to be a pain for everybody. Like yes, the original design is iconic, but I wouldn't have minded if they found a way to do it practically somehow. I don't like by changing the shape, having it be more foot-like, and like playing around with how big Hiccup's boots are on the other leg to make it more believable that maybe maybe this isn't the actual shape of a leg.
I don't understand your critique.
Every single shot with Hiccup's foot is going to become a effect shot.
Yeah, how is that a you issue? That's a them issue.
Yeah! I can only wonder why the person studying in film is worried about the conditions these people are working under.
That's a them issue. Okay.
That sounds like a you problem.
I feel like we'll have a lot to say about Astrid and Snot Layout. So I guess start off with the smaller ones with Fish Legs and then the twins. We'll start off. We'll go Fish Legs.
I really like Fish Legs in this movie.
I did like him, but I do wish he had more. Like, I wish he had more of a dynamic with Hiccup. Like, because in the books, Fish Legs is Hiccup's best friend. The books really emphasize their relationship. And like, and in here, it does, it's weird. It does kind of feel like he's, due to the dialogue and the interactions, it does feel like Fish Legs is closer to Hiccup than possibly the others.
Yeah.
But like, but we don't really see that in action.
True. I did also just think of the See Tomorrow scene. That was like a one positive I did want to say, because that was like slightly extended. The reaction with the Vikings was slightly extended, because I always thought the original was a little bit like, I mean, it's not too fast, but I probably would have liked a shot of at least them being maybe shocked or not. I can't. There's a specific shot I'm thinking of, but this is where my memory is really failing me here. But I think I prefer the pacing of disliking Hiccup to really liking Hiccup in this movie than I did in the original.
I mean, like, I think the actor does a good job. I think it's good.
Yeah. I think, yeah, he was a good Fish Legs.
But
his autism was on point.
Even though I'll be fair honest, he was my first choice, but he's good.
Wait, who do you think he should have played him? Played Fish Legs?
I don't know. I don't know his actual name. The actor is called. I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm so sorry. He's Canadian. Ishaya Azafiram? No.
Do you want to type that in chat?
Yeah, I'm gonna send it.
Man, you guys going into like the thoughts of the actor, and I'm just like, I like that he's supportive of Hiccup towards as the movie goes on.
Yeah, as Adonis is doing that, I do like that he does feel a little bit more supportive or like more willing to be with Hiccup's friend. It's kind of a subtle thing.
It's not like It's not like he starts out wanting to be his friend. It's like as time goes on, he's like more and more becoming Hiccup's hype man.
Yeah, although I do wish they did have like maybe a scene or like a little bit more together in a way. But then again, it's like, how
like, oh hey Hiccup, I really liked you like the way you did that in the arena. That was really cool. You think maybe we could hang out or something?
Yeah, but then again, for the story, is like where would that become relevant?
I do like that he's like, when Hiccup is being attacked by Hook Fang, Fish Legs is like trying to help him out, get out of there.
Yeah, I really like that.
But anyway, I also like that he's just a complete dragon nerd, like even more so now. Like the moment
he even has cards.
Yes, the moment the Book of Dragon shows up, he's like, oh!
I do like the detail that he already had the dragon cards. I was like, okay, I like it.
So that's all on Fish Legs.
The twins are interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for me, I feel like they have better chemistry with everyone else apart from each other.
Which is odd because I'm pretty sure the actors are actually twins.
I don't know. And it's kind of, You know, Dean was saying that those two, he, what's the right word? Hired them? That's not the right word. Chose them to be the role. Is that they had great chemistry? And it's like, I really did not see that on screen, personally.
That wasn't the reasoning that I heard.
What was the reasoning? I probably misremember.
If they were the funniest twins he could find.
Oh. Even then, I don't think they were that funny.
I'll be
Nor
honest,
that they
I
really add any jokes.
I completely agree. I did not find them funny.
I gotta.
Did
It's
they
kind of
even
like
add
they're-
extra jokes on their own?
They
I don't
added
know,
a few
maybe.
extra things to them, but like, kind of like their dragon. They're the characters I think about the least.
Yeah.
I mean, the twins are
weird.
like
How
kind
is-
of nothing.
how
Have
is
always
that-
been a bit of a nothing. Like they are just them, if that makes sense.
I do like the new trait that they're older than the others because they flunked the class.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that bit. The little
did-
subtle way. Okay, they're older than everyone. How do we explain this? They flunked school. Got it.
I did find that funny because the whole internet was like complaining about that, and I think that was always like a critique that Dean or whoever was writing this like knew was gonna happen.
Okay, yeah, that's a nice way to solve to like subtly include it because okay, yeah. Although unfortunately because the twins never really shine in the movies, they're really their best traits are in the shows, and since we're never getting the shows, I'm not sure the twins are gonna go very far. And I'm also very
Yeah.
very curious how they're gonna handle them in the next two movies because of how they're characterized, especially Roughnut. Roughnut goes from like in the second movie she's just a simp, and in the third movie she just ruins Burke. I mean, she just lured the bad guy to them. It's like, especially since in Race of the
I do have to
we'll
admit,
be
like,
here all day if I try to compare them to their Race of the Edge counterparts and then their live action counterparts. So like basically I'm just curious to see what they'll do next with them.
I love Snotlout in this. I think he's great. The actor does a fantastic job.
yeah, he
And-
really embodies Snotlout, and it was so good.
Yeah. And his moments with Spy Clout.
Oh yeah, I'm glad that they like made
played by
Spike more of a
Darth Maul.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad that they made Spike Lout a little bit more of a character in this. Like he
He was always in the movies, but he was always just like a cameo.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like I like that they mentioned him. I say mention him. He was a character in this. Sorry, I'm tired now.
And although I'm not gonna lie, at first I was a little disappointed that it wasn't David Tennant playing him in the live action.
Yeah.
We don't get Fruit
But, like,
Duck in the live
Peter
action
Serafinowicz-
Dragons movie.
But seeing him in the movie, yeah, Peter Serafinowicz is the perfect looking Spy Clout.
I mean, with this sort of, it does dramatically improve Snotlout because I think what was sort of subtext, which I don't think is inherently bad in the original movie, but making it sort of more of a point, and also it supplements the story, or at least like is a parallel to what's happening with Stoic and Hiccup. I think works slightly better, though. I guess my biggest critique really is that the execution of it is kind of just generic in a way. Like I do really like it, and I'm glad that we finally got a good Snotlout. But if I was to judge this as like a movie on its own, him sort of just like his father just completely ignoring him, and then his father just seeing him do one big feat, and then finally accepting him, feels a little bit like shallow, I should say. Feels a little bit shallow in
However,
execution.
this one big feat wasn't just one big feat. It was him fucking landing a
Yeah,
hammer into the eye of a giant dragon to save another person.
I think I'm looking for a little bit more substance of why Spike Lout is disappointed in his son. I think that's what I'm looking for.
I did get the impression that he doesn't like him because of how arrogant he is, because of how show-offy he is. He
Yeah,
views him
and
as
he's a
no bark,
failure.
no bite.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Which is subtext, but then I think if you're gonna actually sort of tackle the subtext in the original movie and they start doing it, I think they should have just brought it all out. I think they should have given him a motivation of why that relationship is strained. Similar to how there's a reason between Hiccup and Stoic.
There are a lot of small dialogue changes that I think do improve Snarlout, especially when he's trying to get with Astrid. Like,
Yeah.
The flirting to me comes off less like harassment.
Yeah. In the
Because-
original, it was
Go on.
it felt very misogynistic,
I know.
which
I
kind
just,
of, which is
I just realized Snotlout throughout the entire trilogy is a simp.
You're just realizing this now.
Because I'm always so used to his character in the show that it never clicked to me that if you remove the show, Snotlout really is just a simp. There's nothing else to him in the original.
He thirsts for Astrid, he then thirsts for Ruffnut, and then he thirsts for Hiccup's mum.
He's not just a simp, he's a desperate simp.
The line that really sticks out to me is like, is once again with the Nada, where it's like, "Ooh, I missed because the sun was in my eyes, Astrid."
Mm.
But in the remake, it's like, "Ooh, I missed because of the light in your eyes."
Yeah. I did like, yeah. I do like that he feels a little bit less misogynistic and just more, I guess simpy would be the best one, but yeah. Though the original Snotlout being misogynistic, I don't think is inherently bad because he isn't framed as a good thing in the original movie.
Much else to say about Snotlout?
Just,
I don't think so. Like, it's just a net positive. Like, they finally just did him right. Like, he wasn't bad in the original movie. I think I wanted a little bit more substance, but then he went bad in the later movies. But, like, they added the substance.
we just have to pray that they do not carry over his motivations in the second and third movie. That they give him something else. Literally anything else.
I think they'll carry on the motivations in the second movie, and I wouldn't have so much of a problem with that. I think my biggest issue will come into the third movie, because they...
Yeah, that was bad.
That fell on all fronts. I kind of want Snotlout to have the moment that he doesn't... I think they're on the trajectory of possibly redeeming him in the later movies, because his insecurities were formed by his father, but they resolved that in this movie. So maybe in the second one he'll be less he won't, in the second movie, and more importantly the third movie, he wouldn't be sucking up to authority, because the reason why he does that is because of his strained relationship with his father, which is resolved in this version. So basically, I'm saying I'm hoping they do more interesting shit with him in the other movies instead of just doing more of the same.
And now we move on to Astrid.
Astrid.
I really like her intro in the live action.
Yes.
Because the intro in the original is very much of its time and is like intentionally like absurdist and cheesy. Because that's what it's going for.
Intentionally sort of cliche.
Yeah. But like in the live action, like it shows me I'm a character. Like with her like walking out of the
Fire?
smoke.
Oh, smoke, okay.
You can practically see Hiccup's daydreams. And you can see her look at him, and he goes like, "Wait, what? What? Me?"
Mm.
And then like, and then she goes like, "What are you looking at?" Like that feels very that feels very realistic compared to like the.
Yeah. I think one thing I do like in this is that I think they put a bit more of an emphasis of Hiccup pursuing. I say pursuing. That sounds really, bleh. But like, is romantically attracted to Astrid.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the original, obviously he has that moment in the beginning, but then it quickly shifts to his perspective on society because it's like, oh, their jobs are so much cooler than I am. Because then he's referring to all the other Dragon Riders, or the other his peers in that moment. Whereas in this version, he just stays on Astrid.
Mm-hmm.
Though I would have criticized the fact that he never like reflects on his place in society / reflects his place among his peers. But then if they do that in another part of the intro, then it's fine. But there's also the moment in the Book of Dragons scene where everyone else is like walked off and it's just Astrid and Hiccup. I think when Hiccup approaches Astrid in that moment, you could tell it's that sort of, I want to talk to you because I want to get to know you, but I'm like scared because like you're my crush. He's scared to approach his crush sort of situation, which I like, because in the original it's kind of looked over until like the other half of the movie, when it comes into the forefront.
Like, I know you and me critique that like in the original, Astrid isn't really a character. She's more of a tool for the story.
She's
However,
a little bit shallow in the original, yeah.
However, here, I do think she works better.
Yeah. Having that moment to basically explain her motivations is sort of the solution that I needed. Again, in the original, it's kind of subtext her motivations. You can kind of extrapolate. Though, it's hard to say because I do know what the filmmakers intended because they wrote it down in the art book. But I'm trying to, I don't know, I haven't got that point in the analysis, but I'm trying to like see if they really brought that across in terms of
movie, Astrid is kind of like from a nothing family, and then she's like, I'm coming for your position.
No, that part is the original. That one's new for the live action. But her being athletic and having the pressures of being the new Vikings in the society is in the original and also in this one as well. Which I do have to question. I don't know, which you guys can help me with. I don't know how well that was followed through on. Because she mentions it, but like, it kind of makes it out as if the tournament for the dragons, fighting the dragons, mean that they will become chief.
No.
I don't. No, that's not it. That is definitely not what they were implying.
So, Astrid coming for
it's...
Hiccup's house or chief position, how would that work?
I think I feel like I'm missing a bit. Because Hiccup is currently the runt of the village. Nobody, and then of course Stoic is like, ugh, this guy. Astrid, who has worked her whole life, coming from nothing, is working her whole life to be seen. So she is thinking, Hiccup being the runt, this is an opportunity for her to seize that and then take that position for herself. Impress the whole, become the golden child of the village. Stoic will see this and think, I wish she was my daughter. In fact, even Hiccup says, oh yeah, my dad wishes that he had you instead of me, or something like that. Well,
then my main question is this a democracy?
I don't think so. I think this will just be a case of, we cannot have Hiccup as chief. Chuck him. Yeah. We'll just take her instead.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of a democracy then.
Not really. It's kind of like Stoic's choice, isn't it? That's not really democracy. Otherwise, everyone would get a say.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess. But it's still somewhat democratic, a little bit. If it's just the chief's choice, then maybe not so much, but... But still, my main point. Well, okay, at least there's like a choice in that. But as I say, is that ever like explicit in the film? Because I feel like they never follow through on that. Like Astrid says that she's coming for his house, but then it's like, but I'm sort of leading the question of how. Doesn't Hiccup just inherently take the position of chief because he inherits it? Because next in line?
Yes, but nobody's gonna listen to him because he's Hiccup.
Yeah.
Am I just being really dumb and just overthinking this?
Kinda. I do really like how that moment like recontextualizes Astrid's line after fighting Fernando, where she's like,
Yeah, it adds context to that.
yeah, our parents swore it's about to become ours. Figure out which side you're on. Like, yes, in the original it still works,
Mm-hmm.
but in the live action remake, due to that conversation, at the very moment she is saying to Hiccup, choose us or the dragons. Pick a side.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, something that I noticed is that during the night scene, Astrid goes out of her way to save Hiccup when the barrier is about to fall on her. Fall on Hiccup, I mean. So that's a intentional change from the original, because in the original she didn't save Hiccup. Like, are they trying to imply something there, or have missed something?
Yeah, because I feel like that might be a way of them trying to imply that Astrid may be interested in Hiccup. Because I do have to admit, in the original, the relationship kind of felt very one-sided until the romantic flight scene. Although the original, the romantic scene is a very big moment for the movie and their relationship, it does kind of feel like them just flipping a switch, if that makes sense. I think it would have been nice if there was a little bit more of a tiny amount of build-up, or like at least a hint or something that Astrid might be slightly interested in Hiccup.
I would say that could just be like Astrid, that's humanizing, because like maybe Astrid doesn't really,
True.
Everyone in the village, they don't care about Hiccup, but at the same time, Astrid's just not about to watch him die. That's that sort of thing. But at the same time, it just proves that it kind of goes against my theory that she was going to take the chief spot through other methods.
I mean, there's also the interpretation that she said that to marry Hiccup. I'm gonna take that chief spot.
Wow. Okay, hang
By
on.
your side.
Wow. That is a completely different interpretation. I'm just here thinking, when I hear that line, I'm thinking, oh, she wants to kill him. And then you're here thinking, oh, she wants to marry him.
Oh. Well, what can I say? I'm a romantic. Is there anything more about Astrid?
I mean, we get to see her parents.
Do we?
Those were her parents, right?
I'm not sure.
What?
I don't know. Maybe not.
There was a man and a woman cheering for Astrid. Who else could that be?
I know who you're on about. No, the man was cheering for Hiccup. That's why they look. That's why they looked at. That's why they looked at each other awkwardly.
Oh, I completely misinterpreted that. Okay, never mind. I always think, because like that was always a thing in the show where they keep alluding to Astrid's parents, but we never see them. And then I thought, oh, that's Astrid's mama. And then now you're here saying that's not her mama.
It might be.
Astrid's... Maybe.
I don't know. That woman is a reoccurring character.
Yeah.
She does have multiple speaking lines, and she does get named. So
I guess...
maybe she has a connection to Astrid, maybe she doesn't. I don't know.
And maybe that brings us on to, like, I guess maybe more of just the world building, because we haven't talked about that.
Segue. But what about like? And I believe in past. Oh yeah, Gothi. That's another character.
Yeah, I was gonna say Gothi's different. There's more Vikings, and then in the context of Berg.
Goofy lives in the village now.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that kind of makes more sense than just having your doctor, the healer, live on top of the mountain.
Your elder.
I
Yeah.
did always find that just
It's
kind of
like,
silly.
oh my gosh. It's like, I broke my leg. I need to see Gothi. Oh, man.
Cue a
climb all the way
30-minute
up there and
walk. My old enemy.
your broken leg.
Stairs.
There's.
Oh, I'm so sick. I can't get out of bed. I'm like puking everywhere. Oh man, I'm gonna be puking all the way up on this mountain.
Hey, Gothi. Sorry, I puked on your stairs on the way up here.
But she takes more of a I won't say more of, but she seemed to be scoring the kids throughout this.
Yeah, she was. Because, like, in the first match, you can see her give Astrid 2 points.
Mm-hmm. Which is
I think
kind
I'm
of
okay with that change.
fluff, but like it's not really meaningful, more nor meaningless.
It shows us that she's watching.
Kind of like,
yeah.
she's a village elder. She's supposed to watch. And because like she's the one who makes the decision in the end.
I think it works fine in the original, but it also kind of works fine here.
Mm-hmm.
So then the world, I believe you said Burke has changed a bit.
Yeah, like it's a completely different shape.
A different shape. The context of the village itself is different.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to explain it, or do you want me to go into it, or
Go
you
ahead.
guys want- Okay.
I mean, like, we already know, but, like, just go ahead.
Yeah. For the. Okay, so this version has a bunch of different people from all over the world come to Burke to fight dragons, which explains its diverse set of people, which I have no issues with, and cool, awesome. In fact, I actually support it. I like it. However, the only thing it leaves me the question with is why did they all set out of Burke? Because in this movie, the context is to fight the dragon's nest, or find the dragon's nest, which is a little bit weird because I don't think that dragon's nest would reach to around the world. I thought we would have only impacted that archipelago. Maybe that's me not fully understanding how the dragons in this universe work. But also, if they were all congregating to the barbaric archipelago to kill dragons, surely they would have naturally accumulated round or nearer to the hidden world, where they came from.
But the thing is, they don't know where the hidden world is.
No, I know. But they didn't even know where the dragon's nest was.
I can assume that they just sort of like accumulated some knowledge that the dragons tend to go to a certain area in the fog, and that's why they grouped up there to try and find it.
What I presume happened is like there was this one place where it was infamous that dragons always attacked, and there was always an abundance of them. And I presume what happened from there, the Vikings went, oh, there's a lot of them. This keeps on happening. They keep on licking off with our food. There has to be a nest nearby. Let's move our best warriors there. Let's make this place infamous for dragon hunting, so we can hunt down the nest and finish off the dragons for good.
I think we have the context of people from around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're just missing the context for why this location.
Yeah, like I could understand if it was a group of people around this area to communicate to like a dragon's nest, but from people from around the world whom are affected by dragons to then congregate to go to where they are to find where they came from and kill them.
Like maybe it's
weird
kind of
that
like
it came to just.
But they don't have that context of knowing where they came from. They don't know where dragons came from. They don't know. They don't know that they came from anywhere. They're just going wherever there's a large amount of them. That just so happens to be Burke because it has a dragon nest nearby.
yeah, that,
Why
that
not
checks
any
out to
of
me.
the other dragon's nests? Why not? Well, because I feel like I'm asking questions that are related to Dragons 2 and 3, which they could completely change the context for. So I feel like what I'm asking is redundant.
Because
I
like,
mean, the Bewilder Beast can get his own food, so like, he doesn't need to send the dragons to go hunt villages, raid villages.
Yeah,
and
but they
even
do
then,
though. Because
and even then,
cloud jumper.
look, in the hidden world, we don't see masses of dragons coming in and out of the hidden world.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
only dragons, the only dragons we see in reference to the hidden world live there. So we can assume that dragons generally just don't come in and out of the hidden world. They just live where the ancestors lived.
Okay. I got you now.
Anything
Is there
else for
anything
world
else about
building,
the
or are
world
we
building?
done? We asked the same question.
I feel like we need one more point to end it on, because that was just a weird...
I will say, I do have one thing that I forgot to mention earlier. I noticed a vital, annoying color grading error.
Oh, here we go.
Hiccup's shirt changes colors multiple times throughout the movie. In the same scenes.
Okay. I was gonna say, like,
What?
if it's different scenes, then it's okay. But then, yeah.
1 second, it's blue, and the next second, it's green, because of the because of course each shot has their own individual color grade. Because like a grade that works for one shot might not work for the other. So therefore, different shots have different attributes. Therefore, his shirt is blue in one shot and green in the other. Like when he's when he's trying to find Toothless for the first time. While he's traveling, in one shot his shirt is blue, and in the other it's green. And it happens in romantic flight. Like
Ugh.
I'm pretty sure it's the shot before the night moment. You can see that his shirt is blue. However, in the next shot, in the following up shot, it's green. In the exact scene. How didn't they notice this? His shirt changes colors multiple times in the same scene, from shot to shot. How didn't anybody see this? Who color graded this? Why? Like, I was going mad. I noticed this on both my screenings. Like, why does the shirt? In my first showing, I was like, is this shirt changing color? Because like I couldn't tell if it was just a scene thing and he was just changing shirts. But no, on my second watch, it was confirmed that the color grading is just fucked.
I can explain this away. I have a theory. Since
Go
in
on.
this universe, terrible terrors are very chameleon-like. So, Pickup's shirt is made of terrible terror skin.
I have a better one. It's a Hobblegrunt skin. Hobblegrunts can change the color of their skins, of their scales.
That works even better because it's actually confirmed they change colors.
I can't believe a error like that made it past the first draft.
Maybe
I'm just
there
saying,
is a possibility they could fix that for like the digital release. I know.
I'll be
filmmakers
honest.
have done that before.
I'll be honest. I hope they don't, because I want people to see that I'm right.
I kind of doubt,
Like,
though, they would fix it. If they're aware of it and have time, they could fix it. But,
I mean, like,
yeah.
they obviously, they obviously somehow aren't aware of it, because it's in the movie.
True. We'll see. I think this brings on us to like the last sort of topic or question. Like, where do you think we're gonna go on from here? In the context of the second live action movie, potentially even the third one. We know that the second one is confirmed. Do we have any hopes? Does this movie give you any optimism for the second one? Does it like?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
It does give me a bit because I enjoyed this movie. I liked it. And even though I don't like the fact that this movie exists, I did enjoy it. And considering this movie was competent, I have hope. I have trust for the second one. And I hope Dean learns from this movie and we have better acting deliveries and don't have any color changing shirts.
Okay, for me, I kind of like it's sort of like I just cuz like again with the Disney remakes, there's so much to complain about. With this one, it's only nitpicky stuff. So like I'm just now it's like as it's basically just the movie but in live action with just a few changes here and there. And while some changes were kind of just not that great, there were also a lot of good ones, especially with the background characters specifically. Those ones are like really good changes. And then here, now like if we get to the sequel, I'm just really excited to see like it's actually kind of like I'm not expecting too much because I'm expecting the same treatment. They're not going to change that much, honestly, from what I can understand. I'm expecting to see the exact same movie, but in live action. But what I am excited for is how they're going to handle all the background characters. Fishlegs, Snotlout, the twins. That's the stuff I'm really like, oh, I wonder how that's going to be different. Because I'm expecting that now. Because they're different in this movie. And I'm especially hoping that they get worked better in the third movie. That's the one where I'm like, how exactly are they going to translate these new characters, these rewritten characters in this movie? Actually, that one's going to be the one where it's going to be like, how are they going to handle that one? Like, I can see them not making too many changes for number 2. For number 3, there's a lot to think about.
I hope they do more changes for 3.
Something I will add is that, albeit it was just a headline, I didn't actually read what was said, but apparently Dean did say somewhere that there probably will be more changes for 2 and 3.
Okay.
So like,
I feel like that makes sense though.
Yeah, like I don't know how big or small they're gonna be, but there might be more changes.
Yeah, I feel like they kept this one mainly the same because, to be honest, like the original movie is kind of like was already kind of perfect as it is, and the critiques that I would have given the film, they have tried to address or like worked on. So it does leave me optimistic for the future ones. I think I will always prefer the original trilogy.
Oh yeah.
But even in this movie, it was such a mixed bag of a change. Like, some things I like, some things I don't like. My hope is that we know they're making a second live action. It's safe to assume that they're going to end up doing the third.
Yeah.
The one thing I do hope that they do with those 2 movies is change the riders and add a lot more to them, because they were definitely the weakest parts of those movies. At least, like, I guess, thematically. As I say, I only hope they get better with the changes. But yeah, I think only time will tell. Should we talk for another 15 minutes? Because then we can get this to a 4-hour podcast.
No, because I'm editing this.
So you don't want to hear my next question?
Go on then.
Go on.
What dragons do you want to see in the sequels?
I think it would just be the other dragons.
Yeah. the only one I would really want to add is Chopper.
Yeah.
I think
I mean, of course, I'm gonna ask for all my favorites. I'm gonna ask for the Flight Mare, the Fireworms, the Whispering Deaths.
Fireworms are in the hidden world.
But I want to see a queen.
I don't think we're gonna ever really see those dragons. We might see a couple more. I don't know.
Whoa.
It's hard to say because all the background dragons were more added in the second one, so it's a bit like this one. We're not gonna get moments with a Skrill or a Rumblehorn. They're always just gonna be background dragons.
Oh, that's right. Then there wouldn't be any point to seeing my favorites.
Yeah, I mean that is just the point. Is just eye candy. There's the death song in it. Ooh. Though in the second movie they could do something because there is the battle between. There's the fucking. I don't know why I'm swearing. There is the literal dragon battle in the movie. So you might see a Skrill do something.
Oh, that's true.
I did something.
Imagine,
I did something! This is the part where
Yeah.
you ask us for our last words.
Oh, this is me, yeah, because I'm the one who's sort of hosting this. So that's our thoughts and opinions and objective facts, obviously, because we have objective criticism.
Because we are perfect.
I'm the expert. There's just some film schmuck here. Any last words?
I am Steve, and I'm riding a dragon.
Who's gonna tell him that the Minecraft jokes died like 2 months ago?
Yeah, I know. Like they weren't even that funny to begin with. Like
I
half
disagree
of,
with that.
I mean,
Back in my
half-
day,
half
joke
of it-
was a joke. They didn't have to be seasonal.
all memes have always been seasonal.
Yeah.
Apart from the Among Us meme, that went on for 2 years too long.
Well, if you haven't figured out that I'm always recycling old memes, then you don't know me very well at all, young whippersnapper.
YOLO. What are those? Broom broom
This is the
in me
part-
mom's car.
This is the part where you say, "Okay, boomer."
Yeet.
Indominus, any last words?
That boy!
You're not Indominus.
Thankfully.
I'm trying to think of any more old memes. Illuminati confirmed.
I had to pay £8 to see this movie again for this video. You two owe me.
I got $3.
Technically, you still owe me.
No, but that's when it comes to videos. I'm on about money.
Yeah, I edited that video for free. So where's my money?
Nowhere. Because you ain't
Yeah, that's
getting it.
That's the. It's yeah. I'm glad we come to an agreement. You ain't getting mine either.
Nee.
Yeah.
Nee.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I think they've gone crazy.